Yo, what's up, everybody? Back again with another interview. Got my brother, the legendary B-boy Jojo, founding father of breaking. We're gonna get into all of that, but yeah, this guy's been very gracious. Um, he's took out some of his time to be with us. Talk about a little bit about his history, about the history of breaking, and we got some really good topics we're going to talk about. So, without further ado, I am going to bring my brother on and we'll get started. Right. Boom, there he is. Oh, I don't got
What's
any
up?
sound
What's up?
effects yet. How you doing today, brother?
Just enjoy my day off from work. Homies. So this turned out to be a good chance to do this interview because I had the time. So it worked out good.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, me and you've been chatting, uh, off and on for a couple years. Whether it's through the phone, private, phone calls, or through Messenger. Anytime I
Yeah.
have a question about anything, you're always quick to respond. You've been very gracious about your history and your experiences. So definitely want to thank you for that, and I also want to give you your flowers for everything that
Thank
you've
you.
contributed to the culture. You are a founding father, so I just want to give you that props and give you that credit and say thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so yeah, so we're gonna get into questions. So we got a lot to cover. So hopefully we won't take up too much of your time, but we are gonna try to cover a lot of ground. First of all, can you just talk a little bit about you know when you were born, where you were born, and let's start with that.
Okay. Well, I was born in Manhattan. I was born in Metropolitan Hospital in Manhattan. Born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx. So I was born in Manhattan. I stood there till 1970. In 1970, I moved up to the Bronx in 1970 to Grand Avenue. And within when I was at Grand Avenue, that's when I really started to get the feel of breaking and everything from that point on.
Okay. All right. Cool. So you said Grand Avenue in the Bronx.
Yeah, Grand and
Oh,
Tremont.
Grand and Tremont. Okay.
Mhm.
Now is that the west side of the Bronx?
Yes, it's the West Side.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy because when my dancing career was full fledged and I was dancing and I was going out there and doing my things, I had never known, and this was in my early days, that the CC crew was right up the block on Harrison Avenue, and I never knew that they was there, even though they was doing their own things. Because at the time, I think the CC crew used to always get visitors from the Zulu Nation, always coming to battle them in their building. And I remember them being right up the block. I didn't even know they were up the block until a DJ named Cisco came by and told me that they was up the block. And we'll get into that after, because that's how I became down with the CC crew.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll get
yeah.
to that
Cool,
story.
cool, cool. So what can you tell me about your area of the West Bronx? What was the demographics like? What was it?
Well, it was a
What was the
mixture. It was
building
a
like?
mixture. It was a mixture of Puerto Rican and black kids. Like me myself, I didn't really speak too much Spanish, and I got a lot of grief throughout my career and through my younger years about not speaking Spanish. And the only reason why I think that happened was because my father died when I was 2, and when he passed, my mother we struggled in the beginning. She didn't have too much of an education, and we had to move back. And there was a friend of my mother's mother, an older lady named Miss Vern Tucker, a black lady, who took us in for her to stay with her until my mom's got on her feet. And this lady down the line became my grandma. And I think my influence as far as like my dancing and everything came from being at these house parties with her and her family. And then when I started getting the nip to dance, that I wasn't ashamed to dance. I had a knack for just dancing on top, just doing steps. And they used to always say, "Go Jojo, go Jojo," and I just be doing steps. But it was like I wasn't ashamed that my mom said, we was kind of amazed that you wasn't shy about dancing in front of everybody. So I think that's where I got my nick from. I was sort of like the jerk, when he was the white guy that was raised up in the black family and in the, and all that. All her family members became my cousins, and they treated me like a cousin. And I think we stood a couple of years in her house until my mom's got on her feet and we got our own place in Manhattan. And we lived there for a few years until we moved up to the Bronx in 1970.
Okay, so you say they used to say "Go Jojo." Where does the
Yeah,
name Jojo come from? Because is that a
it
nickname that
came
you
from
had?
her. It came from Miss. Her name is Miss Vern Tucker, and it came from her. Because my name is Santiago Joseph Torres. Is my
Okay,
name.
got
I
you.
and she coined me Jojo, and
Okay,
it's been Jojo ever since.
okay,
You
so that
know,
comes from your middle name.
yeah. hmm
Got you. All right, cool. So what about your building? Can you talk a little bit about your neighbors?
Well,
Like,
my building was kind of all right. I mean, there was three buildings on Glenda on my block. It was 1740, 1715, 1740, and I forgot the other one at the corner. But I remember that within my building in 1740, it was the bulk of my friends from that block lived in, you know. And the ones that lived on that block, there wasn't too many of them were b-boys besides a white boy named Robert Gennaro, who was one of the first guys I taught how to dance, and he was a white boy, but yo, he caught on and he was down, and I brought him, back in my days, it didn't matter what color he was. If he was cool with me, I was cool with you. It didn't matter. So I brought him down with me, and there's a picture of me doing a windmill with track in the background, Robbie Rob, which is the guy I'm just talking about in the background, and my brother Easy Mike in the background. And this was at Taft High School breaking championship that we won that battle. I remember.
wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
interesting.
yeah, so
That's
that's
very interesting.
that was one of the guys I taught how to break. I mean, I have a few members people that I actually showed how to break. Like another kid was named one of the first kids that I ever showed was named Jose Figueroa, and he was my friend from school. We was in the same class, and I actually taught him, and he became my partner. See, when I started dancing, I didn't start as JoJo when I started breaking. I started as my favorite superhero, which was Spider Man. So I was B-boy Spider Man, and Jose Figueroa was B-boy Spider Web. And that was my partner when I first started. I taught him how to play. And you know where Jose Figueroa is? Oh, that's another guy that you probably might want to interview down the line. Do you know who he is now? He's a five-time Grandmaster Tai Chi instructor now.
Wow,
He's the master.
wow, that's
It's
amazing.
crazy. Yeah, he has a
That's amazing.
dojo and everything out in where's he at? Sacramento. And
Okay,
he's done action movie, sequences and all kinds of stuff. He's been really busy. Actually, I got some things down the line that he's going to be filming with me down the line. So you might see something with me on film down the line that he's working on out there. He's been working on this for a few years, but he keeps me posted every time about when it's coming. You know what I'm saying? So
got you, got
that's
you.
cool to know. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So you mentioned a couple of your students and stuff like that. I'm gonna get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
But just talking about your block and your building. Did you have like this is when you were dancing, just regular dancing, standing up top? Did you have like parties in the house?
No, when I
People
was
from the block?
dancing, when I was at the Bronx, I was already breaking. I learned breaking there. So my dancing, like dancing standing up, was when I used to go to the little house parties that they used to have when I was younger. But when I got older and I started dancing, I started teaching the kids those students that I talked about. I used to teach them right in my living room because I had a nice linoleum floor, and we used to practice right there in the living room. And I used to teach them how to spin on their backs and, all kinds of stuff, and that was where we used to practice at. And 1750 it was a two-sided building, but you couldn't walk from one side to the other when the build from one side, like by going in. You can't go from one side to the other. If you go on one side, you're stuck on one side. You go on the other side, you're stuck on one side. 1740, you could have went across on that building. It was like you could have went from one side to the other. But that's how that was, and that's the avenue was full of people, and right up the block was 82. So they used to throw jams there. So that's right. Usually used to go up and throw down when the opportunity came.
Okay, so you moved to that building in 1970, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now before that, you were dancing in just house parties, right?
Well,
Just
yeah,
standing
house
up like
parties, family
young
house
kids,
parties,
family house parties,
family
right?
house party. Yeah.
And,
Hmm.
okay, now when you moved to the Bronx, did you still have house parties where you were dancing up top?
As I got older, I experienced the club bug, going to the clubs.
Hmm.
So as I started going to the clubs, is when I started seeing more people in groups like trying to do things as far as like dancing.
Hmm.
So I got the hit one time when I knew, because I knew I had skills, I knew I was good, but I wasn't a show off. So I was more like a humble. Everybody would say Jojo's so humble and all that, and that was because I was just a laid back individual. And when I used
Hmm.
to go to these events and these jams, I used to fall back and just check out everybody. Usually with my skills, I was looking for the best dude, the one that would give me competition.
Right,
So I
right,
would be
right,
falling back for that. But other than that, I would just chill and go to these events, and I started learning more from going to the clubs and started seeing the response from people when they seen you dance and when you did something, or when you come walking out and you can hear in the background like, oh shit, here he comes, oh there he goes, oh shit. You start to hear shit, and this
right,
makes you feel good, and that empowers you to do better and harder. So
right, right,
that
right.
helped me out a lot,
But
stuff like that.
sticking going back to the 1970. Okay, so at 1970, you were probably what, 8 or 9, 10?
Yeah, around that age, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's stick with 1970. You're 8 or 9, right? Now
Hmm.
you're dancing. You're still dancing up top from house
Yeah, from the
parties, family
parties.
house
Yeah,
parties,
yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
in 1970, you moved to Bronx. I imagine you're still doing that. There's still house
Well, this is
parties.
what happened. I was always dancing on top, and then down the line, this is what happened. I went to my first jam in the Bronx, and it was, I can tell you right now, it was DJ Whitehead. That was the DJ, and it was an 82 schoolyard. I came to the jam, because you can hear it from blocks in the city. You know how it is in the city when they have a jam. Those blocks, those that bass bounce off those buildings, and you can tell once you get at least a block from there that they're actually throwing the party. And we used to get excited. Oh shit, they're doing a jam. They just give each other dap and be walking, getting all happy, and then you get to the party, you see everybody. So I used to like those jams. And what happened was one day I went to the jam and I seen people breaking, and I was standing there and I ran into a kid named Mark. Now this kid Mark is the one that actually showed me how to break. This black kid. So Mark lived in my building too on the fifth floor, and I didn't know he was a b-boy. I didn't know he break. I didn't know anything about him like that. He was just a kid I knew in my building. And next thing you know, he sees me and he goes, "Hey, Joe, what's up? What you doing?" I told him, he said, "Yo, do you get down?" I said, "Yeah, I get down." He said, "Yeah, you do. Let me see it." Now, the term get down meant breaking back then, too, in those early days.
Right.
So I was like, all right. So I did the steps like I was talking about. Steps, like on the top and just, going around and doing stuff. And he looked at me and said, "That's not getting down. This is getting down." And he went down and he did footwork. And that was the first time I seen it. And I was captivated when I seen the footwork. I was like, and I said, wow, that's something I want to learn. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it.
Hmm.
I go back home. And when I get back home, I start practicing for at least a week. The next time Mark see me at 82, because it was another jam, because these jams used to happen on the weekend, I actually had the footwork down. And when he seen me, I said, "Check this out." And I went down and I had, at least it was sharp. That was the difference. It wasn't sloppy, which made him say, "How come you didn't do that last week?" I said, "I'll be honest with you. I just learned it." And I took it from that point on. And when I came up with the backspin, it was practicing in my house, and I was just practicing. And I actually was doing my footwork like really fast, and I slipped and I did like a half a spin on my back. And my brother was there, and it was like, "Holy shit, yo, do that backspin again." He said, "You just your back, you moved, how you did that?" I was like, "I just rotated that way." And he was like, "Yeah, do it again." After a while, I started practicing it where I got to a full spin. When I got to a full spin, then I started to know that I can incorporate my legs to continue that backspin for it to be stronger, firmer, faster. And that's how I accumulate that move back then, you know. And,
Okay.
actually, when that move came around, nobody was doing it. I did
Yeah.
the first backspin in the first battle at the CC Crew, not the CC Crew battle, the Star Child Rock battle against TBB, TDK, and Rockwell. And we're gonna get into that too, because I
Yeah,
mean,
we'll get into all that.
there's
We're gonna
some
get it.
discrepancy about me and TBB because they're thinking that I'm saying that I wasn't down with them, and I'm not saying that. What I said was that I wasn't a full-fledged member of TBB. Yeah, I was a Bronx boy in heart because I was from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
I also wasn't a full-fledged member because I actually went against them at the CC Crew battle when it was the CC Crew against TBB, TDK, and Rockwell. Not the
right,
CC
right,
Crew, I
right,
mean
right.
Star Charter Rock, my bad. It was the Star
Okay,
Charter Rock battle, you know? So that just tells you that I wasn't a full-fledged member. Actually, I think what it was back then, but besides Abby or Bash, they either would have called on me to be down with them whenever they was having battles to assist them. They already had a team of members that were doing things. Sometimes they wanted a little extra help, and that's when I would come, you know, to help, to give them a hand. Other than that, most of them were my friends from a lot of the TBB members from the west side of the Bronx by Davidson Avenue were the members that I would morely affiliated with more than the ones from the South Bronx with Batch. Because Batch really never really hung out on Fordham. He used to come around once in a while, you know, to the
mm,
one on Davidson. But back then on Davidson, I used to be there with Rum Six and Mace and those guys, you know, they all used to be there back then. You know, Popeye, you know, TBB. These guys were all on Davidson Avenue, and that's where I used to hang out, you know, with them. So that's how I was affiliated with TBB through them. Other than that, you know, when I actually gave CC Crew a hand, uh, not really give him a hand when me and actually Spy went against TBB, TD King Rockwell, who was actually helping Star Child, The Lock. Those guys didn't really, you know, backstab me and was like, yo, what the hell's Jojo doing over there? He tells that to Abby, and Abby says, oh shit, Jojo, what you doing over there? And I turned around because I was mad because they never picked me up. Yeah, Abby had invited me to this battle. Originally, I was supposed to come to help TBB and go against Star Child Rock. They was planning on burying Star Child Rock, you know, and
gotcha,
actually
gotcha.
it failed because they didn't know that when I came, I brought Spy with me.
Mm,
So it was me and Spy plus Star Charter Rock's active 7 members and track against 3 crews,
got you, got you.
you know, and they end up
Again,
losing
we're
that
gonna get
battle.
into more of that stuff a little
Yeah,
bit later. I want to focus right now just on your early days,
yeah,
very beginning. So, like I
okay,
said, you started in the you moved to the Bronx in 1970.
yeah,
You got all these dance steps and this groove from the home family house parties.
yeah,
Then you go to your first jam on 82,
yeah,
right? 82 Park.
hmm
Okay,
yeah.
so what year was that? What year was that?
Boy, I really can't tell you, man. I know it was in my early days. I was still in public school.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I know it was really, you know, and my act, like I said, my first time seeing breaking was at that party at that gap. So it
Were
had
you
to
in
be
middle
like really
school, elementary school, high school?
right going from IS 115. I mean, going from PS 26 to IS 115. So yeah, it was from middle school to not junior high. No, it was going from preschool to middle school. So
Preschool to middle
when
school.
I was yeah from PS 26 on Burnside Avenue was a public. That was a PS. And then after I left there, I went to 115, IS 115. So
Got you.
those years between those 2 schools, I started here because I know me and my boy Malu, who's another cool dude. You should try to interview. Who was around back then. Was another dude that used to be down with me that went to school with me in my first grade class when I went there. You know,
Okay.
so
So if you move to the Bronx, you're 8 or 9 or 10, then that would be you would be moving from middle school to high school around those years, right?
well, no, from yeah, actually, because I went from when I went to high school, I went to Clinton High School.
Okay.
So Clinton High School came later. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
So
Okay.
it went from PS 26 to IS 115, and then IS 115 had another school built on the safe side of the Bronx called 261, and I went to 261. And after I left there, I graduated and went to DeWitt Clinton High School.
Okay.
So that's my
So you had to have been around 7 or 8th grade,
yeah,
around there,
yeah.
7 or 8th grade.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So that would make you probably around probably what probably 11,
Yeah,
11,
around
11,
that age. Yeah, yeah.
maybe 10 or 11.
Mhm.
Okay, wow, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. So Okay, so and what year were you born, by the way, if you don't mind?
1964.
1964.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 60 years old. In December I
Oh,
just made 60.
congratulations.
Thank you.
So yeah, so that would put it around 1974, 75, around there.
Yeah. hmm Yep.
Okay,
Perfect. Yep.
cool. All right. Now, did you ever see, just curious, did you ever see any rocking or burning on top, standing up? Humiliating, doing the burns and all that?
Actually, to be honest, I have not seen too much of it, and everybody has their history.
Hmm.
Everybody has their comments about what was being done. They're even saying that breaking came from rocking. They went from rocking to breaking, which I don't know if that's true or not because I didn't come from rocking. I went
Got you.
straight to breaking. You know,
Straight to breaking.
so I don't know exactly. But everybody has their theories on that,
Yeah.
and so that's what that's about. But me as myself, I knew how to rock, but the rocking that we did with my boy Slick Rick, his name was Ricky D, Ricky Cruz, was another childhood friend from Rocksteady early days with me. We used to do this up rock, but it was different. It wasn't how they're doing it now. I think the style that you see them doing when they're bouncing and all that, that came from the second generation, like Rocksteady and those groups. And when they started, like, bouncing up and going like this and all that, I really didn't see too much of that. And if they did, maybe it was happening because I think what it was it was going down more in the South Bronx than the West Bronx
Got you.
as far as like
Got you.
them being like they had Arthur Park, they had 129, they had 18, junior high school 18. Those places they all used to throw parties at back then. Jams,
Got you.
big
Got you.
jams. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
So those guys, you would go around to those parties and see all that. There was another thing that I did very well, and that was hustle. The
Mm,
hustle, I
mm,
was fantastic in it. You know what
nice.
I'm saying? And
Nice.
I just really didn't follow that as far as like continuing to see where it would take me. As far as like breaking made me open up the door for me to get me to express myself as a dancer and being out there and you know. So
Got you. Got you. What
yeah.
about that? What about outlaw gangs? Did you see any gangs growing up at all?
Yes. I can tell you
Talk
one
about that.
time, and maybe somebody once being that this is gonna be live streams, maybe somebody's gonna remember this, whoever was around or whoever was down with those gangs at the time. I think it was the Reapers. And they were in that side of town, the Reapers, and they had a big fight right out there on Grand Avenue in Tremont. And they were screaming, and you heard bottles crashing. And where I lived right on the corner. There was my building, and there was a small building connected to my building. Then there was a laundromat and a supermarket, all on the same strip, going right onto Tremont Avenue from Grand. And that all happened right over there, but it was in the middle of the night. And I remember peeping out my window because back then I was little, I'm peeping out my window and seeing these people running. And I remember seeing this one dude with an afro smack this crap out of the other dude. And the dude got hit so hard he got up and just ran. And I seen him running. When I mean running from my window, I could see him running all the way down Tremont Avenue. So yeah, those gangs were, very active. Like when I
Wow.
first came in 1970, 71, in that area, they was very active. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's really cool. It's interesting. So, okay. Now, when you said you went to this jam, DJ
Mhm.
Whitehead,
Yeah.
that was at 82 Park around
Yeah.
74, 75.
Yeah.
Did you hear or do you remember hearing the breaks being extended? Did you hear cutting and scratching? Did you hear breaks being prolonged, or did they
Oh
just
yeah,
play?
yeah.
Okay,
They used to rock James Brown, Sex Machine. Then they used to rock it. And that's what got the crowd on fire. You know, like even when it starts, it go. Ding! People used to start backing up, circles used to form, and we used to get busy right on the concrete back then. Couldn't do any
got you,
spins, but if you have footwork and freezes, you do it.
got you,
Back
got you.
then.
But what I mean is, did you hear the break part being looped over and over, like cutting and
They was actually
repeated?
letting it play back then. They sort of let
Okay,
it play,
so
and
the
then they
whole song.
started over again. Yeah, there wasn't really like
Mm,
there wasn't nobody. There was no cut creator there yet. You know what I'm saying? It
okay,
was actually basically blending in. There wasn't booga booga booga. That came a little
right,
later. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
But that was how it was done. But we still experienced the breaks. They
right,
was
right.
prolonging the beat. The best part of the song that we all want to hear, they were prolonging it. So
So
once
it
they
sounds so
prolong it, the longer they prolong it, the longer we dance. You know.
right, right. So
So
what you're saying is they didn't have cuts yet, but they were probably needle dropping or just bringing it back
yeah,
so that they
yeah,
were repeating
yeah.
the break
Hmm.
parts. Interesting.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Hmm.
That's what's up. Now, when you say um, when you talk about the first footwork that you saw, right? Now, can you describe like what kind of footwork was it? What kind of steps was it? Was it like a 6 step? Was it
To
like a
be
four
honest,
step?
I really don't know the history of the six step. You know what I'm saying? But it sort of said like it sort of looked like that because you see, there was a difference between black b boys and Puerto Rican b boys. The black kids in the early days, of course, we all know that they were doing it first. But when they were doing it, they really didn't do a solid formation of footwork where you can actually see the feet going around and doing that. They were doing more like a turn twist, flip right into a freeze type style. You know what I'm saying? Where they were just turning around in circle, 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 and then pop right up, boom, into a freeze, then go into a split, come back up and do the groucho marks. Those were like the styles that they had, back then. As people know, Puerto Ricans put B-boys on their backs. You know what I'm saying? We were the ones that
Right,
started
right.
doing the spins and bringing in all that. But the history, as we all know, came from the black kids. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a black kid showed me. I'm not
Uh-huh.
ashamed to admit it. You know what I'm saying? This is the dance that I love, and I took it upon myself to create off it,
Hmm.
and, became a leader, became a brother, became a crew member, did a lot of shows and did a lot of things with a lot of friends and had a lot of fun,
Right, right,
throughout the
right.
years.
Now let me ask you this. Now, and you're talking from your experience. Obviously, you can't speak for, the whole b-boy community,
Yeah,
all over the Bronx,
no.
right? But from your experience, from where you learned it from, you could say that it was blacks who got you into it. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So now, talking about the style that you saw first, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Were they going around in footwork pattern, or were they doing like were spinning? Like what kind of spin? What kind
It
of
was more
footwork?
like a spinning in one directional spin,
One directional
but in a
spin.
circle. But in a circle. You know what I'm saying? So it
Uh-huh.
looked like they were moving their feet around, but they really wasn't. They actually was turning around real fast, like fast enough for you to say, "Oh shit, look what he's doing," but you really can't tell if he's pushing his legs out or not because he's spinning around too fast. And then when they did their freezes, they sort of like didn't just stop how we would stop and form it and do a bridge or do a figure four or do something like that. They instead popped right into a move and landed in a freeze. So
Right on
that's
the
more
back or
how
the
it
side.
started. Yeah, it wasn't really placed how we do it now. It was
Hmm.
actually popped into how they did it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And it just
So it
and then
sounds
it grew from that to this. You
so
know,
it sounds like they were doing like just kind of like spinning like a spinning top, like a Zulu
yeah,
spin.
like a top sideways going like this,
And
but
what
moving
about
it
the
around in
helicopter?
circle.
Were they doing the
Yeah,
helicopters? Okay.
yeah,
They
that
were
was another move that they did a lot of. The swipe,
okay.
the floor swipe.
Okay.
That came from them
Sweet.
too. They were doing, where the leg goes around.
Yeah.
You know, they did the floor swipe. The rest of the b boys back, further on in the future took the swipe and innovated on it. Now you got side swipes, you got one-legged swipes. You know what I'm saying? You got air
Hmm.
swipes. These all came from one move. You know
Sweet.
what I'm saying? Different styles. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
what
because
about
you're
the
still
Russian?
swiping that leg. Like me, I used to do a swipe into a backspin to a headspin. The
Hmm.
swipe, you do your footwork on the top, you pop in the air, you do the swipe, and as you fall down, you go right into that backspin spin, and then you pop up to your head and do a pencil and land a bridge. You know what I'm
Okay. Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more or less what I used to do. Back then, they called me Combination Joe because I did a lot of combination moves back then, you know. But we all
Gotcha.
know the
Gotcha.
king of combination moves was my boy Mongo. Mongo was the
Okay.
man.
We'll get
So
into
that's my
we'll get
boy.
into that a little bit. But
Okay.
back to the original style that you saw, right? Now,
Mhm.
what about Russian steps? Like, were they kicking out, doing those type of kick out the Russian, or did you not?
We had this thing called CCs, which we learned from the CC crew. They were
Okay.
CCs. They were sort of like side, like side,
Like
side.
side step.
So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
your knees on the floor. You got legs go that way when your body still holds in the air. You come back this way, you pop back, and then you go back this way. So it's like boom, boom. It was never like how the Russian steps did, how they did it,
Mm-hmm.
forward. We did
Got you.
side CCs back then.
Got you. Got you. Got you. All right. So now going back to your first experience, right? Now you went home and you practiced. So when you saw the what's the name, Mark?
Yeah.
Mark, when you saw him, was doing like the spinning top type of move, right?
He was, but then again, his style I think was different.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? His
Hmm.
style was more like when my style came involved, the sort of was like reflecting his style because I learned it from him. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So his style was sort of like the stretch footwork. It wasn't a turn, a crunched in like the normal black kids were doing. His was more like you can actually see the feet moving. You know what I'm saying?
Mm, okay.
And so, yeah, it was different.
Okay. All right. All right. So when you saw him, you went home and you emulated that same style, and then you
Yeah,
you you pretty much mastered it.
yeah.
And okay. And then from there, you just kept going and going and going off of
Yeah,
it.
and I started building on it and taking it to the next level,
Okay.
practicing, you know.
Let me ask you this: what about
Yeah.
crews? When was the first time you saw a crew of b-boys? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Let me see. Because I always been down with crews. I didn't get to see the whole aspects of crews until I met tracking them and I started seeing crews like having clubs and abandoned buildings and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But um when I went to 115, that's when I started actually seeing crews, these battles. Because when I started breaking, they had crews out there already, like the Mexican crew, which was a crew that was run by a girl named Wanda, who back then, no disrespect to the Mexican crew, because they were pretty good, but they just couldn't lose a battle, because after they lose, they want to fight. So a lot of times the B-boys either was going to go still take the chance and beat them and then fight them after, or try to beat them and get out of there before they want to fight, but it always ended in a fight. And with TBB, forget it. So TBB had a huge fighting history with them from back in the days, because I even gave them a hand a few times with them. But they had Davison Avenue, Davison 180th,
Okay.
right up the block from Jerome Avenue was where the Mexican crew was.
Now,
So
would you say the Mexican crew was one of the first crews that you noticed?
no, it wasn't, but it was a crew that actually was, causing turmoil back in those days. You know what I'm saying? Either you either dealt with them or you didn't, and they were around, they showed up in places, and there was
Okay.
crews. The crews that were in my side of town was more spread out. There wasn't more like in the South Bronx where they were, not too far from each other. TBB, TDK, Rockwell, they were all around each other. You know what I'm saying? So they
Hmm.
met each other on battles. They met each other at jams. They had their own competition and they got their history. I don't know too much about all their history, but the members do remember me and know me. There's some members that are good friends of me now that, with Rockwell and TBB and TDK that I'm still, cool with, you know. I just hope there's no hard feelings with TVB because I don't want them to think that I was pulling it off saying that I wasn't a full first month because I wasn't. I'm not lying. They knew that
Right, right,
I
right,
actually was down part time, you know. But
right,
other
right,
than
right.
that, everything else is good. Man, love and respect to them. They're still
Yeah, yeah,
around,
yeah, yeah.
they're grown. I'm proud to say that I'm down with them because they grown. They, Abby and Batch and them guys are, making it happen, and that's good. You know,
What about
I
what
got my
about from?
original skills. My original skills is doing good, so I'm
Oh
doing
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
We'll definitely get into that too. But what about from your side, from your neighborhood? Do you remember any crews from there, or was it just like
the
individual
only
b-boys?
crew that I told you that I didn't even know about, because see, where I was at, the CC crew was on Harrison Avenue. That was right up the block. And I never knew they was there until Cisco told me. And that was Spy and Shorty Rock.
Hmm.
Dope B-boys. You know what I'm saying? They were up there. I was down here. I didn't know who they were. And
Hmm.
then Jose, the one that I taught, actually lived on Harrison Avenue, right around the corner from them, and didn't even know either.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
you know, but
So they
beyond
were, so
that, when you
they
went
were,
beyond that, you went over past University and past Andrew Avenue, and you went down to Cedric. That's where you hit Zulu Nation area. Zulu
okay.
Kings, B-Boys, Cedric, 1520 Cedric Avenue, all those areas. I have my history there. It began right there for me, too.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
back then, there was a DJ named DJ Cool T and DJ Mr. Lee. These guys were giving the Puerto Ricans the first opportunities back then. They were the ones that were saying, check out the Puerto Rican B-Boy Spider-Man, the Spider-Web. They always gave us shout outs. And this guys became my childhood friends for years. And I haven't seen them for years. And I just recently, reconnected with DJ Cool T. And after 40 years, I found out that he's Swiss Beats dad. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And didn't even know this, and who's married to Alicia Keys, you know,
Wow.
and I'm proud to say this is my childhood friend, and DJ Mr. Lee's another one that from back in the days. We all remember each other. They knew I was like one of the first B-boys at 1520 Cedric Avenue in the Hurt days. You know what I'm saying? Being there. As far as like Puerto Ricans, because they're still with black kids breaking, but they know that the Puerto Rican kids came around there too, and they remember that. Cool T, you know, which his real name is Terrence Dean, part of the Dean family, which is part of Rough Riders, who got discovered DMX and all that. So they have a whole history now with hip hop now. But back then, Terrence Dean was my childhood friend and DJ.
Okay. Perfect.
So,
Perfect. I'm glad you brought that up because that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. Now, how now just to reiterate what you said before we get into that.
yeah.
So you're saying one of the first crews that you saw or remember seeing was in fact the CC crew from your
Yeah,
area.
that's from my area. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Okay.
they were breaking. They were breaking. We just didn't see any crews
Crews.
besides the
Gotcha.
Zulu B-boys,
Besides
which
the
they
Zulu.
really didn't come right to my area because they had no need
No.
to. They didn't know any B-boys on my block. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So if they went on to 82 schoolyard is where they would frequently be, where they see this breaking and they would get involved. And then you went beyond that to River Park Towers and 1520 and and Cedar Park. Those areas all had breaking. And that was more like Zulu B-boy land. So when you went
Okay.
down there, you expected to battle because whenever you did, there was always something happening down there.
Got you. Got you.
So
Now here's my question. How long, approximately, if you remember, from your first jam with DJ Whitehead on 82 Park to going to was it Cedar Park or was it Cedar Park
no,
where Cool Herc
1520, going to 1520 Cedric Avenue. That was where
Cedric?
Cool
Okay,
Herc
so
started.
it was
Yeah.
Sedgwick Park.
Actually, I was doing that first. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? I was doing
talk
that
about that.
first. We were going there first, and we was those were the early days. Because to be honest, it was rare for them to see Puerto Rican b-boys. So therefore, you know, Cool T was the one that was putting on the map by saying, "Check out the Puerto Rican b-boys." So they, these people would know that we're not just average dancers. We're Puerto Rican, and we break, which is a black kids dance. But here we go, Puerto Rican, doing as good as them. You know what I'm saying? So it was a sight to see back then. So they announced it all the time. So it was great for us, gave us exposure. It made me very popular. Back then.
Hmm.
So I
Okay,
was glad
so
that I got the opportunity.
okay, so let me. I just want to see, make sure I understand what you're saying. First, you went to the Cedar Park, right, where 1520, where Kirk was playing.
1520 Cedric Avenue. Yeah,
That's where you would go first before you
yeah,
went to 82 Park.
yeah, yep.
Okay, and would you say that was your first exposure to
Yeah,
the
that was my
b-boying and
first
all that?
experience as being like experiencing a DJ. Because Cool T, see, when he came out, he DJ'd in the morning, in the daytime, in the afternoon. When he was done at 4 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, Cool Herc came out with the Hercules with his equipment and took it from there on. So the
Okay,
party will never stop. We would go to Cool T's because it was midday, go there, enjoy the music, break, hang out, blah, blah, blah. And as he dies it down, Cool Herc would come out with his shit. I remember standing there seeing him break down, Cool T break down his equipment, and look behind him and seeing these dudes wheeling out these big ass speakers. Going, yo,
right.
what's going on over there? He said, oh, Cool Herc's about to come out. Oh shit. So it's gonna continue? Yeah, all right. Go get something to eat. By the time you come back, you hear those basses booming. and here you go at another party, you know. So they were fun. You know, they
Right,
can
right.
be dangerous sometimes. There were fights, you know, and stuff, but the majority of the time they went over without a hitch. You know, it was all right.
Okay. So all right. So I just want to clarify. So it sounds like what you're saying is your first experience with hip hop was 1520 with with Mr. was it Mr. Lee and
Yeah,
DJ
yeah,
T,
hmm
and then later on Cool Heart later on in the day. So that was
yeah,
your first experience. Now, but you said before that you first started breaking at 82
yeah.
with
So
Mark.
what it was so close. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? The breaking,
Got
you know, was so close because he used to actually be up there, Cool T, at those jams. You know what I'm saying? So I think the scenario is that it was during that era for both, where I
you.
was going from learn first seeing it and then doing it there, and then take it from there and going to 1520 Cedric Avenue. So yeah, it probably would have been 82 schoolyard first when I seen it.
Uh-huh.
But to experience doing it in a group, in a setting where people were enjoying it and I had a crew, that's when I was at Cedric Avenue, 1520 Cedric Avenue. Because
Got
when
you.
I
Got
did it
you.
at 82, it was myself solo. When
Got
I
you.
moved on to over there, it was more like a crew. So if you're talking about crew experience, it would have been there first.
Got you.
You talk about
Got you.
solo experience by myself, just learning it and taking it. It was at 82 schoolyards when I first seen it and done it. You know what I'm saying?
Got
And
you.
then Cool T used to be there, and he was actually, became my friend, and then invited me to his jams, and that's when that scenario came in. You know,
Got you, got you, got you. So it was around the same time, but
yeah,
you got your kind of first fame, or should, so to speak, at Cool T's parties
yeah, Cool T, yeah,
when
yep.
people started recognizing you and say, "Yo, this
hmm
is got you, got you." That's what's up. Now, that's very interesting. I want to play a clip for you, and it has to do with this topic. And
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts about this clip. All right.
Okay. Right.
So this is a clip from the Bronx Historical Society, the was the hip hop research project, the oral research project.
Yeah,
So
I think he reached out to me. The guy that does that.
okay, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They're doing amazing work. I want to play this
Mhm.
clip, and I believe they're talking about you. So here we go.
Okay.
And I remember particularly these three Spanish brothers, Puerto Rican, I should say, came to the block. I think they was brung to the block by one of the local DJs that grew up with Hurt and played in the park with Hurt too. Brung these three Spanish Jews down there from I guess Davidson Avenue, Grand Avenue, and they came down in to break dance with us. But they were doing gymnastic moves, flips, all type of stuff. And I'm looking like, I was just doing footwork, maybe spit on my head. But no, they were doing flips and gymnastics like they was an Olympic. I'm like, blew my mind. And right then and there, in my heart, if you can't beat them, you better join them, or you're gonna look stupid trying to go competition with these guys on this block. And they were real light from the start. The crowd took to them, the DJs took to them. They named themselves Spider Man, Spider Web, and Beretta. Okay, there were three guys that was part of 1520 first B-boys to help escalate what we were doing to the next level. Okay.
Wow.
Spider-Man, and they were young Spanish guys, and they were good.
All right.
Wow. This is my first time hearing and saying that. Got me kind of emotional, man. It's really the facts, it's perfect what he's saying, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, and it's crazy. What he described to you was exactly what I was just telling you, how the energy was there, how when we showed up, they was like, yo, it's about to go down. You know what I'm saying? So to see that and hear that, that's incredible. Yeah, I appreciate that interview very much. Because
Yeah,
I
man. I thought.
mean, the history to get it out is, I would say to myself right now in this day and age, everybody wants to be a b-boy now. I mean, if you notice, you got dudes that were emceeing that never danced in their life, saying they're b-boys. You got, others that DJ'd only and saying they're b-boys. You got ones that were just in the culture and the same b-boys. They got this whole thing dedicated to b-boys that I've never seen, never heard of anything they did, no battles, no history, no nothing, but they're taking the word, they're coining the word b-boy, and they're using it. And it's like saying, all the time and effort as us as b-boys earn the right to be called b-boys, and then you got others that don't earn the right to be called b-boys, but yet they're running with that tag. You know what I'm saying? So right now, it makes it kind of hard with so much competition for people like myself, who's genuine, it's got a history, and has a huge part of this culture and this dance, to feel kind of left behind because you got so many doing things now for others that really don't even deserve to be there. And I'm not saying any names, but the people know who they are. They're doing it just to do it.
Right.
Not saying they're b-boys and that they have a history, because everybody has a history. Somebody had to see you. Somebody had to hear you. If you was out and about and doing stuff, somebody has to see you and hear you, just like the interview right now. This is coming from somebody that seen it, was there, heard it, recognized it, broke down everything they saw. And that's exactly how it went. When we was dancing there, we wasn't showing off. We just loved the dance. And it was different. So they seen it different. And we liked it, what they call it, when they show you, when they're grateful to you, they show you, they appreciate you. And we like that. I liked the fact that I was appreciated every time I came out, that people said, oh, there he goes, oh, people there, B-boy Spider-Man, go, go, go. What I mean? Help from the crowd made it even better.
Right.
When you're dancing,
Well, I thought it was really cool. For one, a lot of people don't know that was your original name was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I think when he said that, I don't think people actually realized that was actually you.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, everything that you said, and you hadn't seen that clip before, right? It was your first time
that's my first time.
So it's funny because you had said exactly, almost to the T, you was describing what he described, and he described it in his own way, but it matches up perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think that validates you and your experience and saying, hey, this is what happened. This is true. Because a lot of people, they'll talk a lot of stuff, but can they have people verify that what you're saying is actually true?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. Now he said that you had the name Spider-Man. You were with the Spider Web and Beretta.
Big Boy Beretta. Big Boy Beretta and B-Boy Easy Mike was the same person. This guy, you should change his name all the time. But Big Boy Beretta or Easy Mike was my brother. And it was either that, he either went either on the both. So they would hear the name, they would know who they're talking about,
Okay. Now who is Spider Web? Can you talk about that?
Spider Web is Jose Figueroa.
Okay.
And you can find him online if you want to ask him any question. He'll love to tell you everything. He'll tell you everything about me. Basically, it might bug you out because he might tell you the exact story like mine. So now you're hearing it 3 times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
now let me ask you this. He talked about, basically he was trying to say that there was a very basic flow of footwork at that time. Like you were just explaining basic footwork. And you guys came in and you guys brought in a whole set of new moves and took it to a whole different level. And basically, so can you expound on that? What were some of the moves that you 3 brought into the game that nobody was expecting, that nobody...
Well, they were used to seeing the old style, the turning style. That's what they were used to seeing. So when we came in, I already had the backspin back then. I mean, did I have it back then? No, I didn't have the backspin back then. That was my early, that was just the beginning. But I still was fast and did freezes and, and did my moves, accordingly. So, that's how we did it.
Okay. So and then would you say that Spiderweb and Beretta were also on the same, page as you?
They were a little underneath me because my brother sort of was into it for a while, and then he went into boogieing. He started boogieing more than breaking and stuff. But you know, he was into it. He was more like he'll burn you with funniness. You know, he was the clown that did funny shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it is what he did back then. But, you know, as far as like, you know, being serious, it was more like me and, you know, myself when it came to like any battles that came up, which they came up sometimes, and sometimes, you know, it just was something to just show and prove and, you know, share your knowledge and dancing. You go to the store.
Okay.
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 Go ahead.
Now, yeah. So, all right. So, you know, before we move on from the Cool Herc party and all that, I do have one other clip. It's two clips,
Yeah.
put in one, and it's going to be a little controversial.
Yeah.
I'll put the disclaimer out there. I'd like
Yeah.
to hear your thoughts. I have my theory, but
Yeah.
I want to see your thoughts and see if my theory is possibly could be correct. So,
Okay.
here we go.
Okay.
Right.
Smoke behind, like in the Western days, motherfucker, when horse shook off after they robbed the fucking bank.
Cool Herc. He said it. The one that's ever seen first breakdance, because he was young and I was young. We grew up together. Cool Herc. He said it in an interview in 1982, 81. They told him, "Who's the first b-boy you ever seen?" He said,
It's super low. I can hardly hear it.
Kid named Spider. He called me Spider instead of Spy. He called me Spider, which is all good. You know what I'm saying? But I know who he meant, because he said the Spanish kid that I know used to live right across the street from me. His name is Spider. He called me Spider. Right. You know, I remember it was in a 1981 Right On magazine or some shit like that. It came out. I'm trying to find that shit too. Okay. You ever seen dance on the floor? He said, "Oh, the Spanish kid that I know him. His name is Spider. He called me Spider." Because he messed up my name on the interview back in '81, and I think it was one of the hip hop magazines. He called me Spider because he got close to Spider. So anyway.
Okay. Now, I know it's kind of hard to hear. He talks kind of low. So nothing I can do
Yeah, I know
about that.
exactly. I know exactly what's going on with this right here, and you know, no disrespect to my brother Spy, because that's my brother. I love my brother. You know, we've been, even when he was away, I was in contact with him. You know, like writing to him and everything, and that's my brother. But the story that he's telling right now, as far as like, about him, you know, that I think he said Cool Herc called him Spidey. You know, I mean, when you think about it, just think about it. Calling him Spidey. Who was the Spidey that was there back then? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just leave it at that. I'm not really gonna disrespect my brother. You know what I'm saying? Because it is not all about
absolutely
that.
no.
But
It
you know,
wouldn't
because
fit.
he's the only one that's real with me right now, as far as like my brother. You know what I'm saying? So if that's what he wants to say, that's fine. You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's my brother, and you know, and as you can see yourself, you know, from what you just showed me, I mean, the truth is in the pudding. You know, you see
Right.
what you have sold and what has been said. If there was anything else other than that being said, you will see it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I have a theory. I wanted to kind of confirm. No shade to Spy at all. He's an amazing brother. I love the
Yeah.
brother. Much respect to him. You know, and he's got his own history, which is great and everything. But
Yeah.
I just had a theory about that, because it seems to me that when Cool Herc said that one of the first b-boys that he saw hit the floor was the name Spider.
Yeah.
Spider, not Spy. Spider, which,
Yeah.
knowing your history and that other people can validate, that you used to tear up the floor at
Yeah.
Cool Herc parties in the early days. In the early days, and this is before Cool Herc was going to the clubs and all that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
This is when he was still in the park. So this is early
Yep.
Cool Herc parties. You would go down parties and tear up the floor, and people would shout out your name, and you developed
Yep.
a following. People knew who you were, including Herc. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Wow,
Yep.
really cool. That's what's up. That's what's up. All right,
You know,
cool.
because I mean, and it wasn't like I was showing off. Like I said, I used to love to dance, and those were the places you know, when they was jamming, that hey, this is where the jam is, let's go. And then we get there and they start playing the beats that I want to hear, you know, and that's exactly what you need is the music that gets you moving. And next thing you know, you're out there doing your thing, you know. So I mean, I'm glad that this is being brought up so people can actually hear it because you're not just hearing it from me. You know, I'm not saying sitting here just fabricating shit, you know. I'm here just to keep my history alive. You know what I'm saying? And you know, whatever, you know, and then you have connections to that history from other people who verifies most of the things I'm saying, you know. So, you know, that's where I leave it at. You know, everybody has their story and you know, everybody has, you know, their history, you know, and I, like I said, I come from the 70s and there's still documented proof of me doing things. So whoever has a history should have some sort of documented proof if they was actively involved. You know what I'm saying? If they was an active B-boy in the 70s, you know, doing their thing, you have to have some sort of history. People had to see you. People had to heard you. Not one dude saying, yes, I remember him, and just that's it. You know, I mean, that's where, you know, the history comes in. People need to really know the facts so they know exactly who's not just blowing steam and who actually was there and a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
You know, and track, you know, these guys from the South Bronx, they have their own history. I don't know how deep their history runs. They could have been doing it way before me. Who knows? But I wasn't in that area until I met Abby. You know, Abby used to come around IS 115. You know, and even he denied this one time, and I couldn't believe it that he said he don't remember. But you know, I love Abby. He's my brother. I'm not trying to disrespect him. You know, but he did used to come around with other niggas to try to battle me at 115, and I used to serve him all the time. And then one time he came over and invited me to a battle to help TBB, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." He said, "Meet me here tomorrow at 1 o'clock." I was excited. You know, 1 o'clock came. I was sitting there waiting, you know, waiting, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Abby never showed up. I got so mad. I said, man, I know it's in the South Bronx, but I'm never going to find it, you know. I said, fuck it, you know, I got a free day. I'm just going to walk down that way. So I started walking down Tremont Ave, get to Webster Ave. So I'm walking up Tremont Ave, hit Arthur Park. When I got near Arthur Park, I see these guys walking. They look like B-boys, you know. And as they're getting closer, I stopped one of them. It turned out the person that I stopped was track 2, and I didn't even know it. So it's crazy, you know, how this happened. I stopped him and said, excuse me, you know where there's a B-boy battle around here? He said, yeah, I do. Why? I said, well, so what's good? I'm Jojo from the West Side. I said, I'm supposed to be helping out TBB go against Star Child Rock or something like that. He was like, word? He said, oh, shit, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm like, yeah. So he explained to me what was going on, that the TBB had TDK and Rockwell going against them. It was 3 crews against one. He said he only had 7 active members. They were ready to break, plus him. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of rough. You know, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm kind of pissed off right now. I said, you know what we're going to do? I said, I'm coming to help you. I'm going to be on your side. He said, really? I said, yeah, because they left me hanging. You know what I'm saying? So let's just leave it at that. So as we started walking, people started following us until we got to Belmont Ave. And that's where the whole dungeon comes in. You know what I'm saying? That was the first time I ever seen the dungeon. When we get to this building, it was an abandoned building, the only abandoned building standing there with a lot on each side. And I remember walking towards it like, what the fuck? Why are we coming here? Next thing you know, as you get closer, you're hearing music, you know? And then it gets louder and louder. And when you get there, all of a sudden, dope-ass music is coming from this abandoned building. You're like, what the fuck? You go inside, you open up the door. These niggas, I got to admit it, from Joey and Kid from TDK, they hooked up the dungeon like a fucking club. It was beautiful. They had chill rooms when you chill with the girls. They had the DJ booth hooked up where it was high, where the DJ looked over the dance floor. The dance floor was all wood floor. All the walls were knocked down. It was nice. It was hooked up. And we get there. Next thing you know, I'm, you know, with Track, and Track is getting these guys together. On the other side is TBB, TDK, and Rockwell. You know, not the whole crew, but each members of their crews were there. And Abby and Batch. All of a sudden, Batch sees me. And he goes, yo, Abby. Yo, what the fuck Jojo's doing over there? Abby looks over and sees me and said, yo, Jojo, what's up? What you doing? I said, yo, remember you were supposed to pick me up? He was like, yeah. I said, forget it. I'm helping them out. And backed off. And that battle went down and they ended up losing that battle. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy, bro.
You know, everybody knows the history. That was the first time I did the backspin in a battle.
Right.
That
Okay.
was the first time
All right.
I did the backspin at the CT. At that battle, that was the first time.
So that was
So
so that was your first interaction with track 2 and with
yeah,
the
yeah,
TVB,
yeah, and
TVB
we
track.
won. I
Track
think back then it was like $2 a man. So we ended up buying a bunch of cool 45s, lined them up and all got nice and just partied.
Was that the first
Track
time you
back
saw?
then had a clubhouse in an
Mm,
abandoned building with furniture, light. You bug out, you drive by, you see abandoned building, all the lights is off, and you look at the 5th floor, you see lights on.
mm.
You're like, what the? How that light on? Who lives there? There's a track. He used to hook stuff up. Yeah, that was back then. Back then,
Gotcha.
that's when I got down with Track. We became good friends. Years later,
Okay.
he became my partner. And some of the stuff that we used to do. But
Okay.
other than that, I think it's cool.
All right. So I do want to get into that a little bit more, but
Okay.
yeah. So going back to Spider-Man. Okay, like I said, a lot of people don't know that was your original name.
Yeah.
And your brother's name was Spiderweb, correct?
My friend Jose's name was
Friend
Spiderweb.
Jose, sorry. Okay, and
Yeah.
then Bruschetta.
My brother was Easy Michael,
Okay.
Big Boy Beretta. That
Okay.
was either.
Now you guys didn't have like a crew name, but you guys were like a kind of like a tight unit.
Yeah. Back
Okay.
then. Yep.
All right. So how did you get the name Spider? Can you talk about that?
Well, like I said, that was my favorite superhero.
Okay.
So off the back, that's who I wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? And as far as like my partner, he wanted to incline with something that had to do with Spider-Man. So when somebody said, "What about Spider-Web?" I was like, "Yo, that's kind of tight. Spider-Web? I like that." And that he grabbed that name and he became Spider-Web. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. Okay. All right. Now I want to play another clip for you, and
Okay.
this is somebody else talking, and we'll
Okay.
get your thoughts about this too.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Rocksteady niggas, man, that I give the utmost respect to. Niggas like Jojo, niggas like his brother, the kid they call I Spy. Kids like that. Them niggas came to Harlem and wrecked shit. They would leave nothing but smoke behind. Like in the Western days, motherfucker, when horse shook off after they robbed the fucking bank.
Okay. Let's quick.
That's
Clip.
my boy Zip. That's my boy Zip right there.
Okay. Now, can you
Yeah,
talk
he knows
about Zip?
exactly. Yeah,
Can you
he
talk
knows
about Zip and
exactly.
going to Manhattan? Can you talk about going
Yep.
to Manhattan? Floormaster Tops. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't know too much about them because Fable actually brought me to meet Zip. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know about him until Fable brought me to him. So, but he knew of me, because I was making noise for years up in the Bronx. So he already knew my history. So when I met him, he was like kind of flabbergasted and happy to meet me. You know what I'm saying? And we became good friends. Fortunately, he passed away. May he rest in peace. But he was always a cool dude, and he was very focused and very vocal when it came to b-boy. So I
Okay.
got along good with him.
All right. And I also want to give a shout out to Popmaster Fable for the clip that was from the last B-Boy with Wayne Blizz and B-Boy Zip. Amazing video there. But okay, so you're saying that you don't remember meeting Zip back in the day, but obviously he saw you.
Yeah.
So he must have
Exactly.
seen you and said, "Hey, yo, this guy's the truth." So there's another testimony, and Zip is one of the original B-Boys in Harlem for sure.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
So you can tell the influence is being spread around the town if you see how it's going down.
Right.
Whoever has a real history will have something like this happening. Where you can verify channels, everything back to back, what's going down, and then they're verifying stories, and these things are tying in together. You can tell who's telling you the truth and who's out there just running their mouths. So
Right. Now I'm going to ask you about a couple different other people. If you remember them back in the days, or if you have anything to say about them, like, yeah, I remember them. No, I don't remember them. Okay, so for example, DJ Smokey. Did you ever hear about DJ Smokey and the Smokeathon?
I don't even know him.
No, never
Nope.
heard of it.
I remember Smokatrons. I remember that group.
Okay.
But I don't remember I don't remember meeting DJ Smokey. So no.
Okay. Could you anything you could say about the Smokatrons?
I just remember hearing about them. I really didn't. Back in my days, I only dealt with breaking issues and b-boy stuff. You know, Smokatron sounded more like they were doing like boogie, like boogieing. You know, electric boogie and and all that stuff back then. You know, that's what I think. So.
Okay. What about DJ Mario? Did you ever hear DJ Mario, Disco King Mario?
I heard of him. Like I said, I heard of Disco King Mario. Isn't he like a famous DJ? Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, yeah. He was
Yeah,
from
I
the
heard of him, but I never really dealt with him. Didn't run in his circles. You know, like I said, I mainly was secluded to the west side of the Bronx. Only when I went to that battle that I had walked down there for that Star Charlie Rock battle is when I started hanging in the West Bronx and the South Bronx. Because then I got to everybody. So then I had a new area that I can go chill at. Other than where I was.
Got you. So in the early days, you were just basically on the west side. You was in your area.
Yeah.
And then
I was more like I said, I was a freelance b-boy in my early days. In other words, I went around and helped niggas out, waited in crowds where the best nigga came out and had the crowd going and serving everybody. And then as he gets ready to walk out, step out right on him. So he could be like, so the crowd could be like, ooh, everybody backs up. One more nigga steps out. The last nigga comes out and ends up serving you. You know what I'm saying? So that was basically what I used to do back then.
Got you. So it wasn't until you met Abby, you went down to the south side and you started venturing out, seeing other crews.
If it wasn't for him to invite me, I would have never met Track. We would have never had this battle. I would have never had a history. I knew Batch and TBB. That was it. And he had this influence because Abby used to come to my side of town. Because back then, people see Batch now as very humble, very cool, calm, collected, But when Batch was young, Batch was a totally different person, and the ones that come from my era can verify that. He was sort of like, I wouldn't say a tyrant, but he was more like into taking over crews after he beats them. So that's basically what he did back then, So the people, he ruled with an iron fist for his group, for TBB. They did what he said, when he used to come around, and there was a battle, a lot of niggas showed up to support him, So he had a grip on shit, and that's basically what he was. And then after a while, when it died down and he went away for 20 years, Abby sort of took over, and Abby, did the hard work of building up, TBB to where it is now.
What was the first?
Batch made it out here, to catch on to what Abby hold on to for many years and did for TBB, So therefore, TBB, you gotta say it. You get credit where credit's due. TBB is where it is. TBB is where it is because of Abby. And then Batch took it to the level with Fahrenheit and everything down the line, But before that, it was Abby that did all the work. Abby could have just said no and didn't do anything and let TBB die, and die down. But instead, he still had it in him, just like me, to take it to the next level. So I'm proud of that brother for what he did,
Absolutely.
And I hope he's proud of me for where I'm at in life. But other than that, everything's good.
Shout out to Abby. Shout out to Batch. Beautiful, great people. I love them. Much respect. Definitely also pioneers, pillars, and founding.
Yeah, we're all together, man. There's only a handful of us, Everybody's passing away. And towards the end of this episode, I want to at least give a shout out to some of my fallen members because in the last 2 years, I had about 4 or 5 members of original Skillz die. And it's been heartbreaking. My last one was my brother, Kevski, just recently died like about a month ago or so, so.
Yes. Rest in peace, Kevski, for sure.
Yeah, he helped me build original Skillz Crew. We had dance chapters in over 67 countries at the time, around the world, just original Skillz Crew. You can Google the name and see, we had a France chapter, we had, all over South America, everything used to be popping back then. So.
Okay. Somebody had asked a question if you knew anything about the Puerto Rican B girls and Smokatrons. But you already said you didn't know much about the Smokertronics.
No, not that, but as far as like the B girls, you say like the first B girl that I taught how to dance was Bunny Lee.
Okay.
Bunny Lee, Jackie,
Okay.
aka Jackie. She's dead. Her brother killed her.
Wow.
It's a very sad story. You know, it was because he was high on dust, and it was a long story. But you know, and it was an accident actually. But he caused the accident. So, but yeah, she was dope. You know, she was the first B girl. She actually, when I first met her, she was Shorty Rock Nelson, which was Spy's partner from the CC Crew, boyfriend. They were a couple when I first met Jackie. And then down the line, when they split up, I sort of had like a little crush on her. We went on a few dates, but nothing really serious. I remember being at the movies one time with me, her, and Jimmy D, who was at the movies on the Grand Concourse. We went and chilled and smoked and hung out and party. But, you know, when she died, I remember walking in because down the line, she ended up hooking up with Jimmy Lee. And she became Bunny because she was Bunny. She became Bunny Lee because of Jimmy Lee. And
Gotcha.
I remember walking into the funeral home, seeing everybody sitting there, and Jimmy Lee sitting there looking all sad. And then he just flat out told me, "Yo, she's dead, B." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, fucking brother killed her, bro." I'm like, what? Yo, it was very sad. She would have been something, you know. There's still another girl out there. Headspin Janet is another one that's out there somewhere. I spoke was in the late '90s. I haven't seen or heard from her since. She'd be another one to get, you know, you love to hear the history from the B girl perspective, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So all right, so we're going through the timeline here, okay? So you moved to the Bronx, 1970. By 73, 74, 75,
Yeah.
you know, you're b-boying, you're going to you know, 82 Park, you're going to Cool T, in you know, was it 1520 Sedgwick,
Yeah.
right? And now you're hearing about TBB, you meet Batch. No,
Yeah.
first before that, you meet Spy, right?
Yeah.
You meet Spy first. So can you
Yeah.
talk about how you met Spy and what year did you
Well,
meet
this
Spy?
how I met Spy. There was a DJ who used to go around, who used to DJ also at 82 Schoolyard. It was DJ Cisco and his brother Buckle. They were like a brother team. They used to DJ. And one day he used to hang out, you know, with all us B-boys. And he came by one day and told me there was a B-boy crew that thought they were the best in this side of town. And to me back then, that was like in the matchup, man. I was like, what? On this side? Who? He said, right up on Harrison Avenue. I said, you got to take me. So I went and I got my brother, and we walked up there. We get there. As soon as we get there, there's a black kid standing in front of the building. Because the CC crew was a mixed crew. It was Puerto Ricans and B-boys. Puerto Rican and black B-boys. So he was standing outside in front of the building. I go up to the building and say, excuse me, you know where I could find a B-boy spot around there? He said, spot? I said, yeah, B-boy spot. He said, there's no B-boy spot here. You mean B-boy spy? I said, yeah. He said, hold on a second. I said, yo, tell him Jojo and Easy Mike's here. So he ran inside. When we went inside, the hallway was one of these buildings where the elevator was in the center of the hallway. So when you walked in, it widened wide open, about 12 feet wide. And it was about 25 feet long that you had to walk to the elevator. So it made it look like a huge dance floor almost. And it had two staircases on the side of the elevator in case you took the stairs. So, you know, we walk in, we're standing at the front of the door, me, DJ Cisco in the middle, Mike on one side, me on the other side. We're standing there. Next thing you know, you hear this rumble, and a bunch of motherfuckers come running down. Like, bah, 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 bah. You know, it reminds me of the karate movies. When the bad guy walks into the karate school and asks for the teacher, and then the whole crew runs out and line up on the side, and then the master comes out. That's sort of like what happened. A whole crew of motherfuckers came running down, lined up on each side, and Shorty Rock and Spy come walking down like the fucking kings. You know, I'm standing there looking at my brother like, check this shit out. You know, these niggas walk down. He said, who's you? I said, I'm Jojo. That's my brother. He's Mike. He was like, what's up? I said, we came to battle. I said, Cisco box. He put the shit on, and we went at it. Couple of rounds down the line, he said they did a back tuck, and they was trying to claim, you know, that they won because we didn't do any back tucks. And I said, yo, that's not breaking. I said, but if you want to call it a draw, we won on the floor, and you guys won in the air. That's it. And we left it at that. He accepted it, and we left it at that. Right then and there, he invited me to a party he was having that night. He said, we're having a party tonight. Why don't you and your brother come over? Cisco didn't like him. He wanted us to serve him and, you know, disrespect him and leave. And it turned out that we got along good with them. So Cisco was like, oh, you're going to go hang out with them? I said, yes. And then they got mad and left. we ended up meeting, hooking up with Spy and all that. And that night I became a crazy commander.
Nice. That's
So
beautiful.
that's my
Beautiful
history.
story. That story, I love that story. It reminds me, it should be like a scene in a movie. Like
Yes,
if there's
yes.
ever a B-boy movie, and I'll be the first one. I'm putting this out there. If there's ever a B-boy reenactment, I think that should be one of the most classic
Yeah,
movie
and now you
scenes
see where the
in the
influence of the
movie.
martial art comes in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because it was sort of like that. You know, it sort of looked like that. These guys could have been all Chinese fighters, you know what I'm saying? More or less the way they came down and lined up on the side. It sort of like took me and my brother off guard, you know, for a second to be like, oh, what's going on here? And the way they walked up, it was like they just was like on the side, just like these guys were the leaders, you know what I'm saying? And they walked right up like boom, and just like so I had to stick my chest out and say who I was and say hit the box because I sort of was nervous, you know what I'm saying? But it worked out good. We ended up being friends and ended up being a CC member back then, commander. So
that's cool. That's cool. That's what's up, bro. Really cool. So, all right. All right. Let's see what else I got for you. All right. So, you are you're okay. So you meet Spy. Now, what year did you meet Spy? Do you remember? Like,
well, it's hard to say, man. I was
how many
back
years
then.
after you started b-boying, more or less?
Yeah, at least 3 years before I met Spy.
3 years.
You know,
So we
because I
would
was
say you
dancing
started.
already. Yeah, when I was doing the whole 15, 20 Cedric, I really didn't know Spy back then. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But that, like I said, Cisco brought him over because Cisco used to actually be at IS 115 when Abby used to come around. He was the one that used to pop up with his box playing the beats all the time and would
Mm.
get it started. You know, they used to come get me on my lunch break when I was eating to come outside and break.
Mm.
Yo, Jojo, there's some kids out here looking for you. What? I don't know. There's a dude out there with a box and there's a circle. I said, oh, really? I'd be talking to some people. I'd be like, yeah, I'll be right back. Go out there, serve a motherfucker, be done, and still come back in and finish my lunch. So it was crazy.
No, was that you? You said that was in was that middle school or
IS
high school?
115, 15, junior high school 115.
Junior high school. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So yeah, still very young.
Yeah.
And so all right. So if you started around, let's say 74, to be safe, um, to 73, 74, then 3 years after that, 5, 6, 7. So around 77, you met Spy. Would you say
Yeah.
76,
Yeah.
77, maybe?
Yeah. Hmm.
All right, cool. And then how long after that before you met TBB, Abby and Batch?
I met TBB before. I mean, before I met Batch, so I knew of them before I
Okay.
met. I think I did. I'm not even sure. It was like I said, all this was happening maybe in the same year.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's maybe not sure, but I know that I think I knew of TBB, or I think I met Spy on them before. Yeah, I met Spy on them before I met Batch. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I met the CC crew before. Yeah, now that
Okay.
I think about it.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's see what else I got for you. Let's see. Um, okay. What about South Soul Crew? Did you ever hear about South Soul Crew? Did you ever see them? Do you know anything
I
about
have
South Soul
no
Crew?
information on them, and I don't know too much. I mean, I used to hear about them from Track. Track has his own theory and history on a lot of things, but a lot of most of the things he can't really say it went for everybody. Like in the south side of my town, it went from his side of town. Whatever he said was going down actually went down. He breaks down, all the stories and all that, and stuff like that. So, as far as like Salso, I didn't come because I remember seeing it on the Freshest Kid. They said everybody basically came out of Salso, and I did. I didn't
Right.
come out of Salso. I didn't come out of TBB. You know what I'm saying? I came out on my own. So,
Hmm.
but
Got you. Got you.
I don't know no history with Salso, so I couldn't tell you any stories.
What about the Seven Deadly Sins? Did you ever hear about them?
We had one thing with the Seven Deadly Sins, and I can
Yeah,
tell
talk
you
about that.
that people don't really know this story. Um, One day we was out scouting. Me and I forgot who was with me, but we was rocking the Rocksteady brown shirts with the white letters, and we heard there was a jam on Marion Avenue up in the Bronx. And somebody said, "Yeah, there's a jam up in Marion. Let's go check it out." So we always used to go and go there, hit the floor, and then bounce. But apparently, when we got to Marion Avenue, we found there was a crew from that area that ran that area, and it turned out this crew that ran that area was the Seven Deadly Sins. And at first, when we got there, I did a few steps, got up and find out who was what. When I found out there was a group there, I made the connection with other members to get a hold of the rest of the crew. And it was crazy because while the Seven Deadly Sins were at the party, if you could look, Marion Avenue was a straight street. Like, it would go all the way from 2-something all the way down to Fordham, just about. And if you look down, you could see the street all the way down. And it was crazy. About 20 members of Rocksteady came. And when they were coming, they were walking together. So when we standing at, it looked like a brown patch was just walking. When they seen like this brown patch, and people were like, "Yo, what's that?" And I looked over and said, "Oh, that's the crew coming." You know what I'm saying? Niggas came. Instead of at first, they wanted to battle the Seven Deadly Sins, and I don't think the Seven Deadly Sins wanted to battle, but they didn't. Not that we disrespected them in any way or form. I think they just wasn't in the mood to do anything. It was just like a social gathering. So when we got there, we said, "Fuck it, let's just all join together and get busy." And I think they sort of joined us. We all danced, and that was that with them. That was the only time that I had any situation with the Seven Deadly Sins.
Got you. That's cool. That's what's up. So you were already rock steady at that point.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. Okay, so now you already talked about how you met your side, the chapter of TBB that was by your area first, right? And you was kind of down with them before you were down with, Batch and those guys.
Yeah.
So can you talk about how you got, you talked a little bit about it. Maybe you could say a little bit more about how you got down with TBB, your involvement with TBB, and the transition from TBB to Rocksteady.
Well, like I said, with TBB, I didn't do much with them until after the battle. That they lost the battle. Then down like a couple of months later, we was hanging out on 115, and then from 115 they went to Davison and Fordham, and they had like a chapter of TBB for that block. That was where they were at, and those were the members I sort of like frequently hung out with and was with. So as far as like being in TBB, I wasn't down with Batch and them on the South Bronx. I was with TBB on Davison Avenue with those guys, with Rum 7 and Popeye and those guys. They were part of TBB on Davison Avenue. Rum 6 or Rum 7, I forgot his name. Well, I think it was Rum 6. And those guys that lived right there, Dr. Ace, Chrome, those guys were TBB. They were all from that area. You know what I'm saying? So those were the guys I was down with back then, as far as like hanging out with them. You know what I'm saying?
Did they break? Were they B-boys? Were they dope?
They were sort of B-boys, but also members, that we ran as a crew. So whenever we got together, we sort of looked thick because we had members that were just down with us,
Got you.
They remember that's when we did stuff. So
got you. So so they were kind of like just the homeboys. They were just down with
they
you
were
guys.
TBB from Fordham. There was a TBB chapter on Fordham and Davison.
So would you say that TBB was not exclusively a rocking crew, but they were more like a street
They were more like because at one point Batch was, from what I understand, was sort of like the king of the buses. In other words, he was up on the buses. His name Batch was posted all over in the early graffiti days. He was hitting those buses and getting his name out there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what that was with him. But as far as like the crew, TBB and everything, I don't know. What was the question again?
Like, was TBB strictly a b-boy crew, or were they like a street crew that like they had guys
they were like strictly a b-boy.
They did everything. They
were like strictly b-boy at one point, but they also had members that rocked, which I really don't know any information on that. But as far as like b-boy, like I said, they had the stints with the Mexican crew all the time. They were battling them, and whenever they did their battles back in the early days, it would be in the South Bronx on Cortona Avenue, maybe at St. Martin's Gymnasium, where they had Rockwell, TDK, and TBB. These were all b-boy groups that used to be frequently battling each other. At one point, they were sort of like cool with each other because they were so close, But after TBB, I mean, after Rocksteady sort of started forming on Katona Avenue and Buck Ford, Kuliaki and Spanky and Flex and those guys from Katona Avenue moved to Katona Avenue, then Rocksteady sort of had some information from that area then too.
Got you. Now, there's a comment here. Someone said, Jojo said it was rare to see a Puerto Rican b-boy, and when they did, it was like, oh snap, check out the Puerto Rican b-boy. But we already talked about that and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I do want to emphasize, and maybe you can clarify. I would definitely consider you first generation b-boy. I mean, you started b-boying in 73, 74, 75, around the area. And maybe there wasn't a lot of Puerto Ricans that you knew of yet, but at the same time, you were definitely a first generation. You were there from the start of when b-boying took off. Began.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So all right. So let's see here. Where am I at? Oh. Can you talk a little bit about Rocksteady real quick before we start getting into different moves and stuff? What was the transition like from TBB? How did you get into Rocksteady? Go ahead.
So this is where the controversy comes to, because you got so many versions, so many people saying things. But I would say that, when Rocksteady got formed, we were, we had a group called the Untouchable 4 B-Boys at one time. I think it was me, Peabody, my brother, and I think Jimmy D. I'm not even sure if it was Jimmy D or not, but I know it was another member that was down with that group back then. And this was before Rocksteady. And then after that, we came up with Rocksteady Crew, as far as like the name Rocksteady, that we wanted to continue the art form. And I guess where that came from, rock steady, to steady, keep it going, to the future and stuff like that. So, as far as like, the crew and all that, Jimmy D, people gotta realize, he was my good friend at one point, and we have a lot of history. But at one point, when he started, he wasn't a b-boy. He didn't break. When we first started, he wasn't dancing. He was actually cool with a kid named Ricky D, which is Ricky Cruz, who I told you was my friend Slick Rick. They called him. He was the Puerto Rican Slick Rick, Ricky Cruz. They were childhood friends, so it was Ricky D and Jimmy D. And Jimmy D ran with Ricky D, whatever. Then when I got cool with Ricky D, then I met Jimmy D through Ricky D. And that's how he got down with me. And then when he met me, I was a b-boy already. He wasn't breaking. Even though he would deny it now and said that he was a b-boy all along, and he learned from everybody teaching him this and that. That's a damn lie. You know what I'm saying? And I told him to his face, because for a fact that we used to train in your apartment, in your room on Anthony Avenue, how to dance, because you wasn't a b-boy. And even Ricky Cruz was outside. He could say too, Jimmy wasn't a b-boy until he met Jojo. When I started hanging with them, Ricky was a DJ, Jimmy D was just his friend. That was it. Down the line, and if you ask anybody, any legendary battles, where's there any legendary battles with him? Where's there any legendary battles with Jimmy D and Jimmy Lee as the founders of Rocksteady Crew? You're going out there and serving people. Is there any information? Is there any battles? There's none, because it never happened. These guys never had a teamwork together. He just never did anything. There's a lot to this history with Rocksteady, and I'm not disrespecting anybody, because right now I'm 60 years old, I'm trying to mend fences now and just live my life, and let our history dwell where people will know, the truth about shit, and, understand where this culture and b-boy aspects come from, so, as far as like with Jimmy D, he was, became like the man, the founder of Rocksteady, and that was only because he was the oldest one. He was older than me, so naturally the oldest one would take the leadership role out of the homeboys hanging out. So it was Jimmy D, then it was me, and then it was Jimmy Lee, and Jimmy Lee was another one. I taught Jimmy Lee how to break. Jimmy Lee didn't know how to break. He's another one of my students back then. You know what I'm saying? He came up to me, because when I met Jimmy Lee, we had a fight on Halloween. And the next time I seen him was at a DJ Whitehouse jam. See me serving people. All of a sudden, he's approaching me, and I tell my friend, wait, back up. I think I'm going to have to fight this dude against that. I seen him coming towards me. He comes to me and asks me, you think you can teach me how to break like that? And I'm like, sure I can. I said, come to my house tomorrow. I live on Grand Avenue. Sure enough, he showed up and we used to train. See, with Jimmy Lee and Jimmy D, I gave them the tools to get there. Down the line, they progressed on their own, and started getting good at what was going on. But I wouldn't say they were A1 B-boys because I don't think they had enough battle experience. You know what I'm saying? Because Jimmy Lee in his early days got in trouble. And to this day, he's still away. Jimmy D got in trouble and left town for 25 years, joined the service, became an officer, and retired. Didn't give a heck about what's going on with Rocksteady. All these years, people was wondering, me, myself, wondering where he was for so many years. He stood away for 20 years because actually he got into some shit where he needed the statute of limitations to run out, more or less. So we're just going to leave it at that. And he never came back around. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Down the line, then I start to hear, this and that. And then, your crazy legs goes and start, trying to disrespect me with some, that I'm not who I am and blah, blah, blah. But he knew that I was there from day one. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, let me ask you this.
He was little Richard Cologne when I was dancing.
Okay.
He didn't say that himself. So
we can talk about that too. All right. So in a nutshell, okay. Now you said that you were one of the first people that teach Jimmy D and Jimmy Lee how to break. Okay?
Yeah.
How did Rocksteady come about, and what year did it come about? In a nutshell.
You see, at first I said 77, right? Which, at the time, I was a young kid. I was young. You know what I'm saying? So we were all young, and we would have never dreamed that this dance would get to where it is now. You know what I'm saying? So at one point, I remember the blackout, during that time, and I remember Rocksteady, and I remember it sort of like it being in the same year. So that's where I based it on 77, and there was nobody else to help me with this information. Jimmy Lee was in jail. Jimmy D definitely didn't give a fuck what was going on back then because he didn't want to show face. So it's been like that for years. Down the line, people start doing researches and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, they say that Rocksteady wasn't formed in 77. It was actually formed in 79. So, and if it was, it was a mistake. But then again, like I said, I was a kid, just like all of us, and we do make mistakes, but other than that, this information was brought to Legs, and Legs just didn't give a fuck. He wanted to leave it, so he left it at 77, and let it run out at 77. So that's where it stands at,
Well, let me ask you this: when was the first time you met Crazy Legs, and what was your experience with
when I started going? Well, when I started after the battle, see, Crazy Legs was down with TVB back then. See, this way at one time he contradicted himself. There's an interview out there with him talking about the battle of the CC Crew battle, and he says, this is exactly what he said. He said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. He said, one crew is my crew with Rocksteady and the other crew is TBB, and those both my guys. I'm sort of like, fuck that. That was bullshit because Rocksteady at the time was informed. On one side, he might have said Rocksteady because of me being there, but I wasn't Rocksteady then, so why say that? You know what I'm saying? He said that he was there, the battle, it didn't work out like that. So back then, he even tried to say he made the backspin up, but in reality, and he says this himself, he was in the audience when the CC Crew battle, when the Star Child of Rock battle went down. And when I did that backspin for the first time, that everybody seen it, he was there to see it. So how did he make up the backspin? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So people, people say things, and and I think he probably noticed, and he probably was confused about it, and then he changed it to saying that he made the continuous backspin, like the windmill. He said, "Oh no, it was the continuous. I made the continuous because I didn't do the continuous. I did a straight shot. It's fast, straight shot, spin on the back."
Talk about that. Talk about the backspin. I know you touched on it before, but now we're here. Talk about the backspin. What was your inspiration? How did you come out about with
it? Wasn't planned. It wasn't planned. And then when it happened, that I seen that I can slide on my back like that, it was amazing to say that I didn't feel any pain. It was smooth, and I was like, "Yo, this is kind of great," And then when I said I want to do it some more. So I noticed that if I tucked in tight, that the spin would be faster. That means I would arch up more, and my back would sort of go like this. You know what I'm saying? And that little part would be the actual spinning area. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's what I did. And after a while, after I got it, then I incorporated my feet to even go faster.
Got you.
So that move is the staple move because everything comes from that. Head tracks, halos, all those other moves come from the basic backspin that started first.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
everything else came behind that.
Right.
All those other moves, tracks, and because once you did your backspin, you want to do something else. It's usually you used to do your backspin and pop into a figure four or chair move or bridge. It got to a point that if you went fast enough, you can continue this head spin. And if you tighten your body and push your shoulders in, you actually go up. Your
Mm.
body goes up.
Mhm.
And if you go up where your hands are like this by your head, all of a sudden, your head's on the fucking floor and you're doing a head spin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or a
Right.
backspin, a backspin to a head spin.
Right.
And you always look dope when you did it. You go backspin and you're spinning, everybody's looking. All of a sudden you pop up and you spin on your head a few times and then you land on the bridge. And like, whoa, check that out. Everybody's clapping. When I got up at that battle, the motherfuckers were touching my back for crying out loud. Like, what the hell? Like I had something and I didn't. It was just amazing that this all went down. And even me, I didn't know the impact they would, have years later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
The dance
Amazing.
itself,
Amazing.
because like I said, I'm a humble person, and I never wanted when it died. When this dance started to die down, I didn't want it to die down because we had a dry spell at one point, and I think that what happened was most of the black b-boys stopped breaking and graduated from breaking to DJing and MCing. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, they used to sort of like not really disrespect the Puerto Ricans, but actually say, "Damn, you're still doing that, dancing on the floor, getting your clothes dirty. You're trumping your hand, man." You know how many times I heard that? And we never wanted the dance to die. We wanted to continue the dance forever.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
sort of graduated. That's why you don't see too many black b-boys now. You do, but the majority of them now are what, DJing and MCing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the majority of the b-boys are what? Hispanic, Asian, Korean, you know, all the light skinned kids, for some reason. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it really panned out,
Okay.
back then.
So let me ask you this: what year did you first showcase that backspin in that battle? When year was that battle between that legendary battle?
Man, I don't even know. I know Track would know the date. I don't remember the date.
Okay. Now it was after you met Spy and everybody, right?
Yeah, I was
So
already down with Spy because I invited him to help me.
okay, so I would say maybe 78,
Yeah,
rough estimate.
it was an early time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
78. Okay. Um, okay. So I'm gonna ask you about a couple specific moves.
Okay.
And you can tell me the first time you saw the move. And first, before we do that, let's talk about footwork. Okay,
Okay.
I want to get into the nitty gritty of footwork. How it developed. We talked about the early style that you saw,
Hmm.
which is the spinning and the helicopter,
Yeah.
right? And then would you say that later on, like you said, it was Puerto Rican guys who really developed the footwork text?
Well, I wouldn't say Puerto Ricans in general, because I mean, we all were doing it. I know that my friend Mark, his style was different. In other
Hmm.
words, when he went down, his footwork was sharp and it was tight.
Hmm.
So he had it tucked in more, but still he went around like a six step almost. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So therefore it was different. And that's my style. That's where I learned how to do it like that. And it's crazy because the six step and the other footwork, which is the stretch footwork, I call it the stretch footwork because it's the one that you lean, your body stretches out more when you go around that circle. You're like, and you have to boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? So oh, there I go right there. Yeah, that's my footwork into a one-legged swipes. That was at the Pier, Rocksteady University.
Now here you're doing the footwork, your classic footwork. Is this the style you're talking about, or what can you say about this style
Actually,
of
hold on
footwork?
a second. Hold on, because my phone is. 1 second. Don't die on me, buddy. Yeah, plug it up. Okay. It's so tiny, I can barely see it.
I wish I could make it bigger. But you remember, you know.
Yeah, I remember this. This was at the Pier, Rocksteady outdoor concert.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just don't understand really, because I mean, throughout my career, you know, with Rocksteady in particular, I always wanted to be a part of what was going on, and he never really gave me the opportunity. Lex never did. You know, he made it where he tried to make me comfortable when I got there, but as far as like helping out with the, you know, with them works and giving them a hand and be a part of everything, he never really, you know, it's like he wanted to keep it to himself and who he wanted, more or less. You know, so
Right.
this became a personal thing for him instead of being a crew with crew love. It was more like a personal where he seen that he was getting money and he had the opportunity to pick and choose who he wanted. You know, and it was fucked up because I sort of got this a lot of times to go places, you know, and stuff like that. When I went to Hamburg, Germany with Rocksteady, I went out with Fable, Wiggles, Legs, and Mr. Freeze and me. That was historical. You know what I'm saying? To have me there with them. You know, and I went out to, you know, Germany, and that's the first time he sort of gave me my flowers in front of everybody. You know, and I think to this day that haunts him because now he's been on some rampant shit with me for years, and we've been going back and forth on a lot of topics, and you know, and he's you know, and I don't understand why. You know, I did nothing but been this man's friend my whole time. I never did anything to disrespect him. Nothing.
What could you
You
say
know,
about these swipes here? You know, where was that? Where did that move come from? These swipes.
that comes with the speed. So when as you can see, when I do the footwork, when I go down, that footwork that you see me go around that first time, that's the style I'm talking about. If you can see the way I go down, the way the foot goes around, it's underneath and it's sharp. You see it's sharp how it goes around. You know what I'm saying? So that foot right there, you see how it goes around like that? See, that's a six step right there, going around. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? And it's sharp and it's fast. And then you're gonna hit that two-legged swipe right now. Look, bop, you pop that two-legged swipe in the air, come back around, and then you hit them with the one-legged swipes right after, as you can see.
Now, who created this swipe move?
Spy, I think, did this.
Okay.
I think Spy. You know, when I met Spy, he showed me because I didn't know the bridge, the figure four. You know, those moves. I didn't really know. I think Track made up the figure four, but he had a style called the chair, and it sort of was like the figure four. So, yeah, but I learned that. I remember when he first was telling me, and I just was slamming my leg, and I couldn't get it for some reason in the beginning. He was trying to teach me, and I kept slamming my leg over, and I wasn't doing it right until I finally caught rhythm, you know, and caught it and knew how to manage it and take it to the next level. And that was it. The rest was history.
Got you. Now, the next clip is track 2. And he does a different type of footwork. Now, what could you say about his footwork that he does here, track 2?
He has the South, you know, this style, you know, sort of was different, kind of, from, you know, the South Bronx b-boys and the you know, West Side b-boys. Like their style was sort of different. So, you know, whatever Track was doing was what he was doing because it was popular out there in his part of town. You know, I really didn't see any battles of Track until I met him. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't know anything about him until I met him. And I think that was God given because I didn't know who he was when I first met him. I just stopped him on the street like he was just a normal person. Only because he fit the description of a b-boy is why I stopped him. You know, and when he stopped, I was like, you know what, there's a battle at? And he explained to me, and the rest is history. You know,
now we call this step.
Battle,
we call this step a 3-step. What he's doing when his leg is kicking out like that. So,
yeah.
Now with that's the style you're saying that they did on their side.
Yeah.
Right. With that 3-step with that kick out, the 1 2, then kick out, 1 2, then kick out, 1.
Yep. Exactly.
2, kick out. 1 2, kick out. Now that's the 3-step.
Yep.
What we call 3-step now. Okay. Cool. So now here's Batch. Now Batch also does a 3-step. Now, let's see if he does it here. Boom. He does it differently.
He's sticking that leg out. See?
Yes.
See the leg out?
Uh-huh.
Then he hops over, leg back out,
Mhm.
side to side, and up.
Now, track and batch are from the same or similar
Yeah, from
area,
the same area. Yeah.
so that's probably
So
why.
now you
Where
gotta
that
realize something. Batch is doing that now, but Batch was in jail for 20 years. So him doing that now is probably what he vaguely remembers of what was really being done. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
he haven't done it in so many years. When he finally came out, you know, I sort of thought that his brother sort of like was getting mad at him because he was just a little too overly humble, like praying and putting his hands together and bowing to people and getting on his knees in front of people. Yeah, we understand who you are, B, and you should having people do that to you because you're Batch, you know.
Mhm.
And I think that sort of embarrassed Abby kind of, and he didn't like it. But I think what happened with Batch that he sort of stopped doing that and sort of like acknowledge what his worth is as an innovator and a pioneer and a hip hop progressor, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm proud of him. He's still around, you know.
Mhm.
We're all old generals now. I'd love to hang out with them.
What could you
You
say
know, if
about
I
his?
ever became a millionaire, if I ever won the lottery and became a millionaire, I would dedicate $1 million to the B-boys.
Hmm.
I would. You know, I strongly would. I would dedicate $1 million to them. All the members that, all the pain and the hustle, all the ones that, and this is only going for the ones that I experienced, because I mean, there's hundreds of B-boys. Everybody has their history, but I can't vouch for everybody. But I could vouch for the you know, the few hundred that I know that was there to just throw one big event where I can just give them money and say, yo, we appreciate everything you did for this dance, you know,
Right.
and share that wealth and do one huge fucking B-boy competition, you know, where they can respect the B-boys. Because what happened in the Olympics was a smack in the face. Besides the
Yeah.
B-boying part was dope, you know, and our representations and one that represented the, you know, USA did a dope job. But then that girl made a mockery of everything and it became a joke, and we're not even going to be there next year. You know, we had high dreams of having this a regular sport of the year. So, if,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
if I ever hit the lottery, I would, you know, get those B-boys paid and I would turn around and do the hugest B-boy championship ever that they will ever see. So I can say to them, don't ever disrespect us like that again. You know, we have a strong entity. We're a culture busting, you know, entity in hip hop that we're still here, you know, and we got a lot to share, you know.
Is
So
there anything
ultimately,
else that is there anything else that you could say about Batch's footwork here?
no, I mean, he has his own style, you know what I'm saying? Usually when he's doing that, you know what he used to say? TBBBB, TBBBB. That was him, boy.
That's what's up. Yeah, definitely his own style, very unique, very old school. You could definitely see. Like I say, he's doing a version of a three-step,
See,
similar to
but he
that.
also does that side to side in the front, like
Right,
boom, and
just
then
like a
boom. That's sort
like
of
a
like
CC.
almost like doing a CC.
Right.
But the CC will be 2 feet together on each side, like
Okay.
vroom and then vroom. You know what I'm saying? But he's doing it with the leg out, as you can
Hmm.
see,
Yeah.
the leg out, around, leg out, around, leg out, and then he'll do the side right there, back leg side. So, you know, anybody that studies footwork can see that it's all in the leg, that one leg. And then when he's in front of you, he's going side to side with it.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
all while his hands is maintaining his balance, you know.
Okay. Now
So
here's Spy. Now you see Spy CC
yeah,
from side to side.
you
Here he does it here. What can you say about that?
see exactly that's what I'm saying. His is a lot more tighter and sharper, as you can see it, right?
Hmm.
A lot more tighter and sharper. You see, he goes
Yeah.
side to side. Yep. You know, and they're sort of the same, except that you don't see Spy sticking that leg out.
Right.
See, his style is like my style. It's just sharp, hard, sharp, tight footwork. You
Hmm.
see how he went to that bridge, how fast he went to that figure four?
Yeah.
Easy. You know what I'm saying? It was easy to get there from that move.
Right. Now, would you say that Spy was what was the difference between Spy's footwork, like going around? Was it like a more of a 6 step? Would you say that he created the
I
6 step?
think I think the only time he went around is when he turned his whole body around to face the floor,
Uh-huh.
because he faces the floor and then he goes back onto his like his rear end almost. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah.
that's the turning point right there.
You said Spy created the swipe that you saw. Is there any other moves that you know of that you feel came from Spy?
Did I think? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. You know, I think Track knows a lot about this history, but I mean, um, I'm I'm pretty sure he did some innovations in that. I know that I created the backspin. I also created the walk. You ever see that walk, that rock steady walk that everybody does when they walk out? You
Uh-huh.
go around in one complete circle, then you hit the floor.
Yeah.
That was something I created too.
Okay.
To me, it was winding me up. So when I start at one point, by the time I get back to the other point, I was ready to hit the floor. And while you're making that walk, you're also getting your flowers from everybody. Everybody's oh shit, everybody's backing, everybody's pushing everybody. You there walk around and then you stop hitting the top rock and then boom, you hit that shit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's see here. All right. So a couple other moves we didn't talk about. Um, who was the first person you saw do a head spin?
Wow. I can't even remember. I'm trying to think.
Was that a move that was always around that you remember?
Not really, because it kind of hurt in the beginning when you didn't, you know what I'm saying? Because I know when I first tried it, I felt it hurted kind of, you know. But then it got to a point that when I got it good, that I was doing head spins and the shit was smooth, that so incredibly smooth that you didn't even notice the shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how you go from one point to the other. You start off rough until you perfect it, and then you smoothed it out. And if you get it from a move where you're going from your back to your shoulder to your head, it usually comes out smooth. And usually to hold that spin, you sort of tighten up, sort of like a pencil head spin. And once you tighten up, you actually pull out a couple of more spins off that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that goes.
Okay. So you don't remember first time seeing it or who did it first?
No, I don't. No. I know that when I even heard of it, it was like I wanted to do it because I felt so many times that I was doing my backspin to my shoulder that I could have went to my head. So I wanted to, but I was afraid. But when I first did it, it was by mistake, and it
Mm-hmm.
went over smooth. And when I did that, it was like, oh shit, you went from your back to your shoulder to your head. That was dope, yo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Okay. This is an interesting question somebody has. Can Jojo comment about the twins in that clip when you were dancing and the twins were there? Did you see the twins back in the days, like at Cool Hearts parties? Or
you mean the nigga twins?
yes, sir.
Um, I only encountered them when they did the hip hop roof and rage the conference they had in Detroit in 90 something. They had it, and that was like the first time that I actually seen them since
Oh!
back
You talk
then.
you talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in
Yeah,
Cleveland, Ohio? I was
yes,
there.
I was there. Yeah,
I
I
was
was
there
there
too.
too.
I met you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we took a
yeah.
picture together. To be honest,
Okay.
I was a young shorty at that time, but yes, I was there. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The twins were there. Now you saying you didn't see them at the
I never
Cool
seen
Hearts
them at
party?
the hurt parties. I know, you know, and there's another guy out there. His name is Douglas Cologne. I don't know if you
Uh-huh.
met him yet.
Yeah, I know
They
Doug.
call him
Dancing Doug.
Dancing Doug.
Hmm.
Dancing Doug. Well, see, he has his own history, so I can't comment. I'm not going to turn around and put the brother down because I really don't know his history. You know, as an individual, I met him. He's a genuine person, and I appreciate the fact that he's actually honoring b-boys. So anybody that does things for the b-boys is always cool with me. You know, and he did these. You know, I got inducted to the Hall of Fame the second time around. It should have been the first time, But because there were guys on the first time that I was deeper than that got it before me. You know, that didn't make sense to me. But still, it was done. He recognized it. He told me that he was sorry and that he'd get me on the next one. And the second time they did it, I actually got the plaque, for being honored into the fame. But when I went out to the Root and Rage, that was the first time that I got to really hang out with them. And I think at one point, Cool Herc got mad. He said some things at the conference because he sort of thought that they sort of like didn't show too much admiration towards the Nigga Twins while they were there. You know what I'm saying? And their style was different. They did the Groucho Mark. They never really broke. I never seen any of them go down on the floor. Let's break it. You know what I'm saying? And as far as Dancing Doug, he has his own, theory and what he did, and then he brings all these other guys, Trixie and all these other guys who I have no history of data on, don't know anything about them, but more or less he's posting a lot of things saying, these are the B-boys. And I think at one time he posted something saying that, this whole B-boy, all this shit started with 8 teenagers in the Bronx River Projects community room, which was incredible, to even hear that. I think one time he put that out there. I'm not even sure. I remember hearing something like that, which I don't think was true. But, everybody has their information. I have no disrespect for him. He's a very cool individual. And, he's been, doing a lot of things for the B-boys, and I appreciate it. And, everybody has their history, and I think, like, the moves he was doing was back then was like the Charlie Chaplin, and if he went down, he probably was doing that turning style footwork, stuff. He wasn't doing what we were doing because, he came before us. And I could tell because one time I seen some footage of him and people were going out there doing that. And he was there and he came out and he did the Charlie Chaplin. So when I seen him do the Charlie Chaplin, that sort of summed it up for me where his style came from. When I seen that, I said, "Oh, he's coming from that era, those moves, So,
okay,
yeah, he might have his history and his battles, that went down when he was in his era, his time period when he did. I can't stand and say that he didn't do anything because I wasn't there, so I can't comment on that.
I have a theory about that. I have a theory about that. I feel like the twins, they were a part of that very first, very, very basic of floor moves. That was, maybe for their time it was, pushing the envelope. But I think, like you said, the helicopter and maybe the spinning top, with some people call it, spinning top. I think those were like the primary floor moves that they used to do. Which I think,
they was. And then they would jump over, like they'd throw that one leg over. It wouldn't be a complete figure 4 or a bridge, but they'd throw that one leg over and just stop. You know what I'm saying? Like a freeze. After going so fast that boom, and people, it was that's what they did.
Right. Which I think, was revolutionary for their time. Maybe, people saw that and inspired people to want to do more stuff on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
like myself, I knew that I had to flip over in order to get somewhere. I had to, you had to push the envelope.
But just to be clear, you never saw those guys at Hork parties. You never saw Dancing Doug and none of these guys.
No.
And this is before they went to the Hevelo and to the club.
Yeah, and he's claiming that he was at the Hurt parties, and I never seen him at a Hurt party when I was there.
Did you see any? Do you remember anybody that's worth mentioning at Hurt parties as far as B-boys?
I mean, there's others. I heard there was a kid named Beaver. I don't know his history. Apparently, he was a good B-boy. It was Beaver, and then it was Dancing Dog. It was Nigga Twins. Those guys, their era was before the Puerto Rican, the B-boy era that we came in. They were before us, so whatever they were doing is what was, passed to them. Now, from who, I don't know.
Well, as far as I know, Beaver started dancing in 75 to mid 70s. So I would say he's probably around your era. Just you didn't see him because he was on the other side of.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I was secluded to my area of town. I really didn't go anywhere until I started getting invited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so I know this guy's. You can see the clip, online. I don't have it queued up, but But yeah, so someone asked, did RSC battle Zulu Kings in back in the day?
Say what?
Did the Rocksteady battle Zulu Kings back in the day, or was that?
No, we were actually tight with Zulu. Legs actually made that connection with I forgot his name. He was either he was Bambata's son. I I forgot his name, but it was somebody that was sort of like a DJ for Rocksteady,
Hmm.
and they
You talking
that's where
about
that
Africa
connection.
Islam?
Yes, Africa Islam.
Africa
There it
Islam.
is. Yeah, yeah. It was him more or less that was the connection. I don't think Bam really dealt with, he knew legs, he seen legs, just like he dealt with me when he sees me, what's up. Other than that, that was it, and with legs is the one that took, Zulu Nation. If it wasn't for Rocksteady, hip hop and rap in general wasn't really going anywhere, and
Hmm.
when we started touring, they started going overseas, thanks to Crazy Legs, he was the one that brought everything, brought in the whole aspects of the whole outdoor jam aspect. He brought the DJ, the MC, and the B-boy on the road, so people got to experience the parties we throw. We had all the measures to throw a party that we did in the Bronx here in Europe somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
that, and not to mention the movies Beat Street and Wild Style and stuff like that, and Flashdance, those movies helped propel the dance. I never got, what was kind of messed up? And that just shows you that even though I can't be mad at Larry for this because he was just a kid himself, and right off the bat you think, so much things that's coming to you, sometimes you make wrong decisions. But when they did the big breakdance contest, I was outside, I couldn't even get in. And they didn't
Hmm.
give a damn that I was outside. You know what I'm saying? And then we tried to join, like me, Track, tried to join the breakdance contest, and we didn't even make it because it was all confused what was going on. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying? A lot of things was going on. And those two little
Right.
black kids won the battle, which they wasn't even breaking. They was boogieing, and they won.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
it's like, what the hell? But that just shows you the animosity that was going on between me and him. He never really in general said, come on, Joe, don't worry. The first time he reached out to me was when I was in Denver
Hmm.
and Rocksteady was on tour and they was on the Jam on the Groove tour.
Hmm.
And the first stop was in Denver. And I happened to be in Denver. And when he ran into my cousin in the Bronx, and my cousin said, I'm Jojo's cousin. Oh man, let me get his number. And he gave him the number, and then Lex called me. It was like, yo, we're on tour coming up, and it's the 16th anniversary, and we want to know if you want to come. I said, Lex, I can. I'm in Colorado right now. I won't be able to. He was like, yo, so we're gonna go on tour, and our first stop is in Boulder. Can you make it to the one in Boulder? I'm like, yeah, Boulder's like 20 miles from me. Yeah, I'm down. So that was the first time I got a taste of being back in the limelight because I actually made it. Ran into him, got to see Kuliaki, Frosty Freeze, and when they came out for that Gemma, Fable and Wiggles Freeze, got to see all of them and got to chill with them at the frat house. The city of Denver gave them a frat house for the week, and they had 3 shows at 3 different high schools, within the week. One was Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday, and then Saturday they came back home, and I just went back to, where I was living at. But I slept the whole time when I was out there with them. You know what I'm saying? So,
Got you. Got
and
you.
that was the first time I got to experience being back in the limelight. He brought me out there and people, cheered and I took pictures. And I remember I went shopping. I went and bought New York Yankee shit. I wanted to make sure I was New York down when I got, to see everybody. And, it was all great. And that was the first time I got a taste of the limelight, what was going on and how
Right, right,
people were
right, right.
appreciating this dance. So I got the bug then, and ever since then, I never stopped.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, going back to the moves. You said you can't remember the first time you saw the head spin, but what about let's see, what about 1990? Do you remember
The
who did
1990,
1990 first?
apparently Track says he made that up, and I really don't know if that's true or not, so I can't vouch for it. But I mean, I think that the 1990 came from the second generation of b-boys, second and third generation, because first generation wasn't spinning on your hand, just like the hand glide.
Hmm.
The hand glide was done by you could say almost first generation because it was through New York City Lakers with Guy Masters, the one that perfected that move. I remember I used to do it dope too, but he was the man when it came to that shit. He had it down pat.
Okay.
Fortunately he died, but everybody knows that move came from him. That's why they called him Glide Master.
Glide Master. Okay. Now, did tracks come from track 2, as far as you know?
Huh?
The track move, did that come from track 2, or who was the first person you
What,
seen
the
do
1990?
a track?
I really don't know. I really can't tell you because I know that, like I said, I started seeing it down the line. When after a few years of dancing, you start to see that because people started doing handless windmills. You know what I'm saying? And halos, and when they started doing that, it made it easy for you to go up to your head, and also if you had enough upper body strain to push that head up into your arm into your 1990. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What about flares? Do you remember
the same thing? That's the same era. The flare, the 1990, and all that. See, but those all generate from what? The backspin. You go from your back to your head tracks, to your windmills, to your flares, to your headspin, to your 1990. It all leads to that. It's all connected.
What about a neck move? Do you remember the first time seeing a neck move, or?
Not really. I know that when we were younger, we had a move called the head slide, which is a move that I invented. It was called the head slide, where you slide on your head across the floor. My thing was, when I first did it, I did it from a side swipe in the air and pushed off when I landed on the side of my head and slide across the floor to when I stop and catch one head spin, one pencil head spin at the end and land in a bridge. That was the move right there.
Okay. What about a chair freeze or a baby freeze? You remember the first time seeing
those things came from like I said, the South Bronx, track, and Trace 2 was good. He did the chair. I think he perfected the chair better than anybody. Trace 2, his style. He was a big boy, but he did it easily. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Yeah, so I remember him doing it the most.
Oh, the baby freeze. Do you remember that at all?
The baby freeze too. I think Mongo Rock perfected doing the baby, in the chair and sort of like the head slide where you go like in a turtle and you push yourself up with your head on the floor and your legs are spread open like that. And you look like a spider going across almost. You know what I'm saying? All that came from that era.
Okay.
What are you making, babe?
What about, let's see. What about the continuous backspin? I know we talked about it a little bit. Would you say Legs was the first person to, or the continuous?
So he says. I mean, I think personally there's a beef between him and Kid Freeze because I think Kid Freeze is the one that made up the continuous. You know what I'm saying? Because he says he did. So, I'm not gonna doubt him.
Yeah.
When he was young, he was a dope b-boy. He was a little guy, but he was dope when he was young. So for him to say that he made that continuous, I believe him. I think personally, I don't take anything from Legs as far as like his leadership with Rocksteady, but I think his thing of claiming, these things, he really needs to show proof so people can believe him.
Yeah.
Because when I told him, he automatically stopped saying it because he knew I was telling him the truth.
Yeah.
And there was nothing he could deny about it as far as like when he knew he was in the audience when I did that move. So he's seen it firsthand before he was doing it. That's where that comes from. So I don't think as far as like him being the leader, taking it and sharing the love with Rocksteady, I just don't think that he really kept it in tune for the OGs. He kept it for himself and took it to the next level for his own purposes. You know what I'm saying? Because us OGs, we got, I sort of got honored when I used to come to the anniversaries, but it also I got harassed, like from his staff. They wasn't letting me come in with my camera. Some said I had to leave my camera. I couldn't film. I couldn't take pictures. What the fuck are you hiding? You know what I'm saying? This is all love and share. You're supposed to share this with everybody in love, not limit people at an event where people are coming,
Let me
So
ask you this.
this
Let me
became
ask
a
you this.
huge business opportunity for him, other than doing it for the love and the sake of the hip hop culture. It
Let me
was a
ask you this.
business thing.
Let me ask you this. Was there any moves back then that were pretty popular in your era that you don't see anymore? People you don't see anybody do anymore nowadays
You
or
don't see
nowadays.
too many swipes no more. As far as like the floor helicopter move, you don't see that ever.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
As far as like everybody else, everything else sort of stood basic. It's still the same. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Got you. Got you. Okay. All right. So, all right. Here's a good question. If you could name 5 of the top b-boys from your era, who would they be?
Well, you would start off with Spy. There was Spy, Willie Will, um, myself. Uh, Mongo was dope. Track was the top b-boy. So I'll say that right there for now.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was others that were good, like Rubber Band and all these other guys. But, like I said, they all come in stages. The people that I just mentioned was more or less top b-boys in my time period.
Okay.
Down the line as the years went on, there were other top-notch b-boys that came out, stuff like that.
Now you
So
mentioned Rubber Band. Now, which Rubber Band? Which crew was he from?
Brownie, he was from TB. Actually, he was up. I don't know if he ran with Southfield because they said Southfield ran up in that area in McCoon's Road in the Bronx, which I don't believe because I don't remember meeting anybody from Southfield on that side of town. But he was from that. He was from right up the block from me. So I was on Grand Avenue. He was on McCoon's Road, and he hung out with Jimmy. He was good friends with Jimmy. Jimmy, Sunkiss, Evie, and Coco and G-Man. Those were all the crew. That was the clique that ran with Jimmy Lee back then on McCoon's
Okay.
Road. And McCoon's Road was 1 block from Grand. I lived on Grand, and then that was McCoon's Road, and then that was University Avenue. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Let's see. What about Spy talks about a guy named Twinkle Toes from the CC Crew. You remember him?
Nope. I don't remember hearing. I don't remember even hearing anything about any Twinkle Toes.
You remember any other members from CC Crew besides Shorty?
Shorty Rock and Spy. That's it actually, because I mean, I really back then I was a freelance. We would consider like Freeze, like Mr. Free said it. We would consider like stars. People gave us respect. So I was a top notch b-boy. So as far as like the undercard b-boys, we really didn't deal with them. We didn't do anything with them. They were there for support. They were there to be part of the clique, and they were there to put in the work when we needed them. As a crew.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
you got the ones that excel, and then the ones that stood at the level that will come to it.
Got you. Okay. Now moving on past Rocksteady. Now you were at the Lincoln Center battle, right?
Yeah.
Did you go to the U.S. United States of America battle on That's
No,
Incredible?
no. See, at that point, he was getting these opportunities, and like I say, he pick and choose. And the only reason why I think that I got the Lincoln Center shot was because I was there with them at the Rocksteady Park. Supervising them, really. When me and Jimmy D, got down and put them down, they were considered second generation, not first generation. Even Crazy Legs, we say he was sort of like the last member to get down with me and Jimmy D, but then again, he was still considered second generation Rocksteady with Ken Swift, Frosty Freeze, Fable, and all. And Fable and all them, they were part of something else. I forgot the crew they had back then, and they emerged because they were all like in the same area. You know what I'm saying? They all lived around, Amsterdam Avenue, Kenny. The only one that didn't live around that area was Crazy Legs. He lived in the Bronx, but Kenny, Frosty Freeze, Fable, and all those guys all lived down, Ken Swift, they all lived right down on Amsterdam Avenue, right where Rocksteady Park was.
Okay.
We made that Rocksteady. They made it Rocksteady. But before they were Rocksteady, they were the Young City Boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Kenny,
Swift and them.
Frosty, those guys. Then when I met all of them, we all became cool, and we ran with them for a while, and then that's when they met Harry Champagne, and he came over, and they definitely had a spot for me. Like I got a doctor outfit, like everybody else, and we, and we went out there and did our thing, you know. And these guys were dressed too, so it even made it look dope that, you know, both sides were dressed nice for this battle, you know. So
Nice, nice. Now, what else could you say about the actual battle? Do you have a bias against certain crew that you feel won the battle, or what would you say
oh,
about
we
that?
definitely won the battle, but I think what it was that they had style, but we had style and showmanship, and the showmanship wasn't on the same level as we were, but their style was on the same level, you know. So it was a hard battle, but you know, at the end, you let the crowd decide, and the crowd was like rock steady, rock steady. You barely heard that, haven't?
Hmm. Okay. All right. That's what's up. That's what's up. All right. So now after breaking starts dying down, right? So everybody knows breaking went it went worldwide. It became a craze, especially in the United States. So like in the later part of the 80s, breaking started dying down. It kind of went out of style.
Okay. Huh?
Yeah, can you talk about what happened with you during that time, like when breaking started to die out in the late 80s?
Well, I had a little episode with just partying a little too much at the time when it died out and we wasn't dancing as much. I started partying more and ended up getting on, you know, doing drugs, and it just didn't work out for me. Um, I say I spent a year wasting my life on that, you know, and finally I came to my senses and decided to move out from New York. And I went to my cousin's on Fordham Road and was visiting, and my cousin, who happened to been up here for 1 year, approached me. I mean, I approached him when he came to visit him. It's like, yo, I want to get out of New York, man. I'm tired of living here. He said, yo, I'll take you somewhere, but yo, you really serious? It's really something. I'm like, all right. And I ended up coming up to Elmira, New York, and I've been here ever since. I've been in Elmira for 30 years, and then I met my wife, and I moved up to Painted Post, and I've been in Painted Post ever since. It's about 350 miles from New York City now, where I live
Got you,
at now.
got you, got you. Okay. Well, I don't want to. We already been on here for over 2 hours, so it's been great. Thank you again for your time, bro. It's just amazing, all this history and stuff like that. Um, I have two more questions, and then we're out of here.
Okay.
Okay. The first one I want you to talk about. I want you to talk about original skills crew.
Okay.
If you could talk about that, how it started, and what's the vision for that moving forward.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you what original skills came about because you know I myself it really identified me as an original b-boy, having original style. My skills was original, you know. And now what I do now that you know is it come to the era that's been around for since '97, so we got over 30 years. You know, it's we say that whoever was dancing in my time period in my era, they have original skills. You know, so anybody could sort of like reconnect with me on that level because they have original skills like I do. You know, and you know the members that helped me, you know, proclaim this. You know, it was my boy Kid Kool-Aid, J Levels, Eric Ruckus, uh, Kevsky, Anthony Cologne. These all guys were part of the making of original skills from that day, you know. And then I don't know if you know, I'm still involved with Anthony Cologne. We do the Kids of New York every couple of months in New York.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So I also a part of that. And I've been a part of that since day one with them.
Nice.
Over
Nice.
20
That's
years,
beautiful.
you know what I'm saying? So
Beautiful. Beautiful. Great
all
event.
free. You know, I done plaques, I done out my pocket, hundreds of dollars wasted, you know, buying plaques and honoring all my friends and having them come out and, you know, feed the community. We used to feed, I used to cook food and we still do all that. You know, so maybe I'll see you at the next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, you have merch for sale? Original skills merch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to get a hold of you, maybe buy a t-shirt or a hat or support you, how could they do that?
Just online, send my messenger because I don't have a website right now. You know, so if somebody hits me on Messenger, I can send them a log of pictures of what I have, and then they just take it from there.
Okay.
if they want to get something.
And that's Santiago Torres, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right, cool. Awesome, bro. Well, that's pretty much all I got. I got one last question, and it's kind of a
Okay.
deep question.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can answer however you want. But I know when you said you first started, they used to say it was the name of the dance was Getting Down, right?
Yeah.
Now, talk to me about the evolution of the terminology because this is a controversial topic. Some
All
people
right.
say
You remember the show?
it
You
was
remember the show to
b-boy,
get
some
down?
people it's breakdance, breaking, going off, rocking. So many different
Yeah.
terminologies from different areas. People call it things differently. Now, when was the first time that you heard the term b-boy and breakdance, and how does that? What's the
Well,
timeline?
I think the breakdancing came when the second generation of rocksteady started getting popular and the media was getting more involved. They went from b-boying to breakdancing, and then Crazy Legs got on some shit where he was on some emphasis about b-boying, correcting people whenever they said breaking, not breaking, is b-boying. You know, he used to like scream at people every time they said it. You know, and that was just something he tried to hold. Something that we owned, you know, that we have the leadership and have the comments and can say whatever about because we own it, you know, the dance, you know. But you know, I always seen it as b-boying, and when breakdancing came about, whenever I needed to call it breakdancing, I called it breakdancing. You know?
Got you. Okay. All right. Cool. So, all right. Well, is there any last words you want to say? Anything that
I
you
would
didn't
just want to
say
give a
before?
shout out to someone. I just want to mention my numbers one more time, the ones that are not here no more. Just to give a shout out because this whole conversation doesn't just include me; it also includes them because they were my peoples and they were there with me. First, I'd like to give a shout out to my boy Kevin Kevsky. May he rest in peace. We just lost him 2 months ago. Very sad about that. A huge loss for me because he's been with me since day one, just about. You know. Then there was Kid Kool-Aid who passed away. Jay Levels passed away, another beatboxing phenomenal original Skillz member. Also, Eric Ruckus, Zulu King Eric Ruckus was also a chapter leader of original Skillz who passed away. There was R2, Danny Arias, on Smash, original Skillz Crew president for Elmira, you know. And so, did I miss anybody? I don't think I missed anybody.
Okay.
So that's about it for now. You know, as those guys, I just say may they rest in peace, and I hope they feel proud of me. You know, as I try to break down that history, and they can be standing right behind me saying, "Well job, Joe. Well job." You know. So, thank you for having me, man.
All right. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for all your contributions once again. Can't thank you enough. Definitely was able to give you, flowers for this interview, and you were able to break
Yeah.
down your history in a deep and detailed way. So I really appreciate your time for that. I hope you have a great rest of your night, brother.
All right. When would I be able to see this?
As soon as we end, it should be public.
And it'll be on regular YouTube. So would I go on to just JoJo interview?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send you the link.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, brother. Thanks again. We'll stay in contact.
Okay. Peace.
All right, bro. Salute.